hit one of those two buttons. Red if you're on YouTube, purple if you're on Twitch. One thing I want to talk about real quick is we are also on all the audio platforms as well. You should see it in this graphic here. Literally, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, iHeartRadio. If you guys listen to podcasts on a platform and you notice we're not on that platform, hit me up on social media, email me, whatever. Make a comment on the YouTube. Let us know, because I want to make sure that we can have the podcast on the audio side wherever you guys listen. I also have some announcements to make. I'm super excited about this. Last couple months I've been super hard at work trying to get this album done for you guys. And the people who are going to get first access to this, I put the link right here. That's going to be the people in the Patreon. So make sure you guys are aware of that. Go to patreon.com/JaredSingerLive. You get first access to everything as we start doing some cooler and cooler shit this summer, as well as bonus content, discounts on merch and stuff like that as we start to roll all that kind of stuff out. So make sure you go there. That's where the biggest supporters. If you've already subscribed, if you've already done that and you want to step it up a notch, you can join for as low as $3 a month. It's not a lot of money, especially with inflation going up. I didn't raise my prices. Still $3 a month. And there's a couple other tiers in there too if you really want to go crazy. All right, we got some ad reads we got to make. Let's get this done. This episode of the podcast and every podcast we do here is sponsored by Tone Vault Audio and Media. Tone Vault Audio and Media was formed as a recording studio business by musicians in active gigging bands. Doing work over the years in multiple facilities as well as in a mobile fashion, simultaneously while playing in live gigging bands, the Tone Vault staff has developed the experience to know why quality, performance, and longevity of cables is important, as well as the demands needed for a great go-to top-of-the-line product for all your professional project needs, as well as live music application. We tried all kinds of cables, and of course we have our favorites. They, however, tend to have a price point that's not so favorable. So we decided to craft our own and make it a little bit more wallet friendly without sacrificing quality. We use these cables ourselves for our studio and music projects, and that includes me. My entire drum set is wired up with these, and we're currently in the process of rewiring the entire podcast studio. They offer a lifetime warranty with a 30-day, zero-risk, money-back guarantee. If you don't like them within that first month, just return them. After that 30 days, it's a lifetime warranty, just like any of the other big names. 24 karat gold contacts, 99% oxygen free. You know the deal. They're absolutely phenomenal. Extravaganza listeners can also use the code 15SINGER, that's 15SINGER, for an extra 15% off any purchase. So go to www.tone-vault.com/JSE and join the Tone Vault family today. This episode of the podcast is also sponsored by Marco V Cigars, the official cigar of the Jared Singer Extravaganza. In 1909, an Italian immigrant named Victor Vito landed on American soil. Despite only having pennies to his name, Victor smoked a cigar to honor his pursuit of opportunity and success. Starting with that first cigar, tradition was born. In the Vito family, cigars came to represent pride in accomplishments and optimism for the future, and they still do. More than a century later, Victor Vito's great-grandson Marco honors his heritage with Marco V Cigars. Marco and his team's commitment to quality, flavor, and construction have established the company as a premier boutique cigar brand. Every step in the Marco V cigar making process is shaped by a drive for perfection. Farmers in the Dominican Republic and Nicaragua tend to their crops by hand, and the planting, harvesting, and curing are carefully guided by Marco V's tobacco experts. Dedicated research and testing have resulted in a leaf that cures with a rich, complex flavor. Each blend is aged for years to enhance the tobacco's deep natural sweetness, and every bale is inspected 6 times before the cigars are rolled by hand, never put through a machine. Quality still comes from the hands of the artisans. After a final inspection, the cigars are packed and shipped around the world. Overseeing the entire supply chain guarantees that every Marco V cigar yields the perfect celebratory smoke. Victor Vito's 1909 cigar represented pride in himself and his achievements. More than a century later, Marco V honors Victor's legacy with the highest quality cigars on the market. Create your own tradition, salute your achievements and your successes with Marco V cigars. Exclusive for Jared Singer Extravaganza listeners, just for you guys, same deal, baby. Go to marcovcigars.com and use checkout code Extravaganza15 to get an extra 15% off of your order. You can order my personal favorite, which is their Palladium, or you can order what I'm smoking on right now, which is their Maduro House Blend. Extremely affordable to begin with, and y'all get another 15% off this motherfucker. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Bud Ingram Lyle Photography. Bud is a photographer specializing in working with bands, both on stage and off stage. His goal is to catch those special images that reflect the dynamic nature of live music, catching badassery since 1886. He also does portrait work of all kinds, photographing solo models or groups in his studio or on location. And yes, you can afford him. Okay, does all of my work. Extremely great guy, very easy to work with, extremely professional. Go to www.bilphoto.com now and book your photo shoot today. Book's out about 60 to 90 days, so whenever you're listening to this, just make sure that you understand you can't book him for this weekend's gig, you guys. This episode of the podcast is also sponsored by Shooter Lube. Yeah, baby, we're back. Shooter Lube's back, baby. Two-stage cleaning system, military-grade cleaning solvent. The new technology has you cleaning your gun better than ever. Our solvent is designed to penetrate deep into the metal, cleaning carbon buildup in less time than other leading solvents. The extreme weapons oil, that's the second stage. Standard gun lubricants and CLPs are outdated and a thing of the past, you guys. With the new cutting-edge technology, we're creating a new level of protection and lubricant. Unlike other gun oils that just sit there on the surface, extreme weapons oil penetrates deep into the pores of the metal. It forms a bond on and in the metal that does not wipe off, wear off, melt, or evaporate with heavy use. There's free shipping on orders over $50 within the United States, and there's a 100% money-back guarantee on all items. So join the revolution by going to www.shooterlube.com and use promo code SINGER to save 15% at checkout today.
Yeah.
Like, let's make money together. And I feel like in our industry, especially locally, tell me what you think of this. It's almost like it's a naughty word in the music industry here locally to say you want to get paid. To be like, I deserve to make money. Like, it's almost like forbidden to admit that.
The forbidden fruit is getting paid to play music. Maybe.
It seems like that. Now, it's weird. The reason I'm asking you this, oh God, are we starting this already?
Oh, we got the magic shrinking stand.
The reason I'm asking you this is because you're on a different rung of the ladder than most of us, right? With the Soul Asylum gig. Do you feel like this is something you see from your position in your band? Is this something that you also see in, I'm just going to say bands that are below you, not that you're a better human or anything, like as far as success and on the rungs of the industry goes, so like bands that open for you, things like that. Do you see the same pattern where they're like kind of afraid to like admit that they need or want to get paid, and I just do it for the music? That's what I'm getting at.
Oh, that's a great question, and I honestly feel like I'm out of touch with that, is my sad answer, because I don't really do I don't know what the bands, I think they just get paid and they're happy to get paid as far as I know. But I definitely understand that, having been in the Minneapolis music scene for a long, long time, I understand the, that mentality and the reality of it. I remember like touring early on, and before we had a tour manager, I was the person that would have to get paid by clubs, and I absolutely hated like going to the venue at the end of the night and settling and trying. It was the worst thing in the world. And so yeah, it's a weird thing. Music, you make it because you love it and because you're doing it for the, I guess, like the love of the music, and yet it is tied to money. And if you're doing it for a living, you got to get paid. So right. I think it's like, I just want other musicians to get paid, Right. That's like,
yeah. And it's almost like this is what it seems like to me, right? Guys are like, oh, well, if you're in it for the money, you're not in it for the right reasons. You should just do it because you love music. And if you need to get paid, you're not, your heart's not in the right place. And I'm just going, man, like, this just doesn't track with me, because where my mind is like, listen, man, the shows are free. I play concerts for free. What you're paying for is the rehearsals. You're paying for the dedication. You're paying for the sacrifices I made where I didn't get to go to a birthday party or a wedding. You're paying for all of that leads up to everything that makes it worth paying me or worth watching, not even paying me, worth watching me on stage.
Right.
The reason you want to watch me on stage is because I'm fucking dope. Being dope doesn't come with a 9-to-5 job. It's just there's not enough hours in the day to do a good job at your day job, be a good wife or a good husband or a good boyfriend or whatever, and be a dope ass musician. One of those has got to go. You can't do all of those things.
You're totally right. And I think anytime people hire a musician for something, it's like you're paying them not for the hour or for the day, but for their life that they put into what they do. Mm-hmm. It's not the same as a job where you could just, like I could get hired to do something that you could show me in like 5 minutes and I could focus and do that for that amount of time. But being a musician, as you know, you spend your whole life working on it, and that's what someone is actually paying you for. It's your entire self that you've put into it.
I agree so much, dude. Well, first of all, cheers. Thank you for being here, Ryan. I appreciate you, man.
Me. Jared,
I'm honored to have you. I really am, dude. And I think it was really cool the way we started this podcast. We did it drastically different how we've done most of the podcasts. Something I've been thinking about for a while. You and I jammed for a good 10, 15 minutes before we started the podcast. And I would argue we actually wrote 2 songs.
I would agree, so I'm not going to argue. There were 2 songs. You just said start playing something. We just started playing, no plan, and 2 songs came. I wish we had recorded those.
I know. That's what I was thinking too. Yeah. Like, okay, so the next phase of doing this style of podcast is we have to record those and play those on the podcast. Because it's kind of exactly what we're talking about is like you and I kind of shat out 2 songs.
Yeah.
I was on drums, you were on guitar, for anybody that doesn't know us intimately well. We made it seem easy. We made it seem like a throwaway. But that's because each of us have 20 years of songwriting. Like that build up to know like, oh, we're kind of like ending what should be the verse. Like, let's move on. And I'm going to do something different on guitar. Yeah. This is what I'm assuming is going through your head. Yeah. So I hear you sonically building up, adding in a little change here. Oh, we're ending this. Okay, let's build it up and let's go for a chorus, right? Yeah. And then we played that. We did that for, depending on how you count things, 4, 8, 16 bars, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we rounded that back out and went back down to a similar principle. We did that a couple times. And then it was like, okay, let's try to like vibe or change this up or tweak it. And then boom, there's our interlude. Yeah. And dude, we did that. The point is it looked easy because of the 20 plus years
of doing it.
It's not easy.
Yeah, there's a quote I love. I don't remember who said this, but it takes countless hours of hard work to make something look easy.
Yeah, that's my definition of a pro. And I have multiple definitions of a pro, but really the epitome of it to me is when you take something difficult and you make it look so fucking easy that anybody goes, I think I could do that.
Yeah.
And the better you are, the more often people go, I could do that, and I bet I'd be better than him.
Yeah. Oh, you're totally right. It's the no, that's the thing about being a musician. People sometimes see it and they go, "Oh, those idiots, they can do that. Well, I could do that too."
You're right.
And they don't necessarily understand. Like, then they try it and they're like, "Whoa, this is not as easy as I thought this would be." And there comes in all of that hard work, dedication, like the time that you spend putting into it.
And we're just talking about playing.
Yeah, just playing. That's one little tiny facet of being a musician now.
We're not what you and I are really talking about, and what we're not saying outright is the writing. Being able to write a song, write music, especially something catchy or something good. Like that's what we were joking about is like we just basically wrote 2 songs.
Yeah.
Whether they're good or not is up to the world.
We'll let them decide that.
It's not up to us, right? And honestly, I think the biggest factor in whether they would be good or not would be what are the vocals that are done over the top of this. If they're great vocals, if it's a great vocalist like my singer or your singer, I think it would be fine. Yeah. Right? Like a great singer can take probably something pretty fucking cool and put it over what we just played. Yeah. And you're right, we probably should have recorded that because we should. I'm not to sit here and stroke ourselves off for fucking a half hour, but like it was really cool. And
it was surprising. I mean, it was like who knows what to expect when you go like we're gonna start this by jamming, and then if it goes, clicks, it's like, whoa, that was awesome.
Right? Isn't that weird? It's such a because there's this other weird thing we haven't really even touched on at all, which is the chemistry. Yeah, it's like and that's what I always measure it by. It's like okay, I can build chemistry and understand the language of any musician.
Yeah.
I've been doing this long enough, all the way up and down the rung, from like beginners to guys who've been here for 40 years, longer than I've been on the planet. They've been making music.
Yeah.
So anywhere on that spectrum, I can learn your language. The question to me is, and I wonder if this is fair, but the question to me is, how fast can we get on the same page? How fast can we develop that chemistry? And for me, I oftentimes will judge a musician's true credibility based on how fast we can build that chemistry.
Yeah.
Like what we did.
Right.
I'm like, dude, I haven't listened to any of your music. I went out of my way. I wanted to experiment with this whole thing, right? And we'll get into how this podcast came to be. But I literally went out of my way. I was like, I'm not listening to any of this guy's music because I already know he's a pro. I don't need to vet this guy. I want to just see like how we vibe with as little interaction as possible before the podcast. Kind of a test of myself, so to speak, right? And it's interesting because I think it's fine. Right? Like I think it's fine. Like
it's fine. It's totally fine.
I think it's all fine. I think it's good. Like my chops aren't there.
Your chops are good, really good, actually. You told me before. You said it's been a while. You were rebuilding your chops, but you just came right in and you were like, bam.
Well, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. The one thing I think I am good at is I have a great meter. I'm not humble about it. Like I know my fucking meter's dope, bro. Like I've gotten in arguments with people about my meter.
Yeah.
Old band I was in, we were arguing about tempo. He's the guitar player, which as a fellow guitar player, you should be able to admit this. Guitar players are notorious for having terrible internal metronomes.
Yeah,
we have terrible meters.
I would say in general, we always say in Soul Asylum that like Michael Bland always says, this band is for drummers, though, in that band, because everybody in that band plays drums also.
Oh, shit.
Which is an advantage. Like, but you're totally dead on right. Guitarists are rushy. They're like, and even when I'm playing guitar, it's sometimes hard to not get rushy. But sometimes you want a little rushiness if you're playing something that's supposed to, leap off of the track. You know, it's like you want to be a little ahead of it,
and they're notorious for it, is what my real point was.
Yeah,
it's like guitar players are notoriously bad meters. So I get in the argument with my old singer/guitar player, and I just because I kind of was raised in like a literal gangster environment, like fucking biker gangs, and then eventually gangbangers, and like I grew up in a hard world, right? So like I'm a very competitive person. So when somebody challenges me, right, like I get kind of shitty sometimes. I get a little bitchy, right? And so I'm like, listen, motherfucker, the click don't lie, because I knew we were getting ready to go into the studio to record our shit, and coincidentally, right down the literally 2 doors down from where you guys are, in that room, we're getting ready to record our demo, and I'm arguing with my singer John at the time. I'm like, listen, motherfucker, the click don't lie. Like, we're going to find out who's right. I know I'm right. You think you're right. The click don't lie, bro. Like, I was so shitty about it.
Was this like Pro Tools era or? Yeah. So you can like see you can see it visually, like if you're lining up with the click or if you're ahead.
I mean, it literally, when he went to go lay down scratch tracks, he couldn't.
Right.
Like, we had to kick him off the scratch track. And the bass player became my scratch track.
Wow.
Because he couldn't play to a click.
Yeah.
Like, he would rush parts. And he would actually be like, what are you doing there?
Yeah.
And I remember Kevin stopping everything. He was our bass player. He's the one who engineered the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I remember him going, what do you mean? What am I doing? And he goes, what are you doing? You're slowing it down. And he goes, no, I'm not. You're speeding up.
Yeah.
And he literally goes, this is what Jared has been arguing with you about for months. Like, you're the one who's wrong. Yeah. And he couldn't correct it. So we literally just had to eliminate him from the scratch tracks altogether. And Kevin had to do the scratch tracks for me on bass so I could do my drums. And then he just relayered his bass. And John, we did it in the classic old school way you do it. Drums, bass, rhythm guitar, and then his vocals. And that was the only way we could record that record. Because if he was involved, because most of the way I think this town does it is the guitar player does the scratch track for some reason.
Yeah, well,
I don't know why, but we do that a lot.
That's super interesting you say that, because the first I heard about that happening was Bob Mould, from Husker Du, and when he started Sugar. Like, Husker Du did not do that, but Sugar made that album Copper Blue. Are you familiar with that at all? Or not? All right.
School me.
It's all good.
I mean, I know of the album, but I don't want to sit here.
So I mean, Husker Du went from being a hardcore punk band to kind of a more melodic, punk band or indie band, whatever you want to call it. And when they broke up, Bob Mould started the band Sugar. Sugar made their debut album Copper Blue, and it sounded nothing like anything Husker Du had done. It was humongous. Things were like tripled, quadrupled tracked. And they started making that album with a click and Bob Mould playing guitar first. Then they built around that. Then they put the vocals down, the lead vocals, and built the track around that. That was the first I ever heard of it. And first record I was involved that made an album like that was Melismatic's Acid Test. John Fields is producing, and he said, we're going to put guitar down first, vocals, and that blew my mind. And I was like, oh, this makes total sense, though, because you're building the song around the vocal. I mean, for a lot of kinds of music, that makes complete sense.
Yeah,
I was used to the band vibing first,
Exactly. And it doesn't really matter. You can, I grabbed the wrong one. You can do it however you want, right?
Yeah. You can do however you want.
But there's the old school way was the bass player and the drummer lay everything down first.
Yeah.
Oftentimes live, like together. They track in the exact same time.
Thank you.
And then you layer rhythm section, so guitars, and then vocals, and then the last thing is like your accompanying tracks, right? So your orchestral shit, backing vocals, sound effects, things like that.
Totally.
But somewhere along the line, the bass player got pushed out of the first round of tracking, and it was like the guitar player would show up and lay down a scratch track to a click, and then the drums would start. They'd erase the guitar, then the bass player would track, then the guitar player would retrack. And I don't know when that changed. I don't understand the motivation for it either. But it was interesting for me. Where I'm going with this is it was interesting for me in the process to experience both of those, which is what I was used to, which is John should have been tracking. And then when he couldn't handle it, me and the bass player went in and we basically kept his live track.
Yeah.
Like when he scratched it, he DI'd out of his Sans amp while I was tracking drums.
Yeah.
And we basically kept almost everything he played. He fucked up a couple parts where he punched in and fixed it. But dude, that was super cool to be in a 2012 era band recording like we were in. And we argued, not like argue, like fun. We debated about actually just saying fuck it and live tracking the whole album. Yeah. Like if we could figure out a way to pull that off. And like a lot of things, it was a technology issue.
Right.
Like, there's just no good way to live track the whole record and get it to sound good.
It's weird how that is now harder to do. It used to be the only way to do it, and then it became the hardest challenge for bands to like go into a studio and record live and then have that be the record. I mean, it's really, really interesting.
Isn't it?
Yeah. That's the technical challenge now.
And we talked about this on the podcast a lot because I'm big into the old school cats. Yeah. I grew up around those old motherfuckers, right? Those are the guys I grew up around. And
well, like, who are you talking about when you say old school? Because that could mean
there's no names I can drop that'll be impressive. But I'm talking about an era where they live tracked everything, and they would record one track like 64 times.
Yeah,
and then they'd probably pick the first or second take,
right?
Because that was actually the best version of it.
Yeah,
but that's how they did that, and that was one track. And then that was their life, like that was what they did.
Yeah.
They would show up and they would work for 8 to 12 hours a day, just like you'd go to a factory or a call center. They would show up to a music studio.
Yeah.
And like, it seems like it's fun and it's glamorous. Oh, I'm a rock star. I'm this. And it's like, no, dude, again, the shows and the concerts are free. You're paying me for this bullshit I went through.
Yeah.
Sitting there for 12 fucking hours playing the same fucking song will drive a man crazy or woman. It's not an easy thing to do. And I think there's a reason we don't do that anymore. But where I'm going with it is the level of proficiency that generation had on their instruments, dude.
Yeah.
And you think about the technology that we have to make our instruments easier to play now.
Right.
From drums to guitar.
Yeah, right.
Bro, they were playing on things with high action.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
They were playing on...
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think they were better back then.
Well, they were... Some people were. that's like when they had the ringers come in. You know, that's like when the stories of like a band's making an album and the producer at night calls in
a different
session musician to come in and recut it, or someone who's like listed as being in the band is not playing on the track.
Yep.
Sometimes they know it, sometimes they don't even know, and they would just bring someone in. That was like the pre-Pro Tools method for correcting, bad playing.
Yep.
So,
and there was only one other option, and it was called scrubbing tape. There's a guy I follow on TikTok.
Okay.
And he's clearly of that generation. The guy's got to be 60, 70 years old. Because what he's talking about and what he shows you, he marks tape.
Okay.
And then slow winds it through the playhead, and he goes, roll,
and finds,
roll, and he goes, there's my kick drum.
Yeah.
Mark.
Wow.
And he goes, now we're going to take that kick drum out. He's just doing a kick drum, and he's like, that kick drum is not in the right spot. We're going to take that one out.
Yeah.
And then he'll literally go, and he's erasing just the kick track on this tape.
Wow.
And then he rewinds it and plays it back, and he goes, that's much better.
Wow.
Yeah. And those
so
are your only two
recut it then?
No, he just literally erased the playhead, erased the kick.
But then did they replace the
No,
kick?
because it was an extra one. It was an extra one. He was like, that's not supposed to be. I think I said that wrong eventually. You're right. I said that wrong initially. I said it's in the wrong spot, didn't I?
Maybe,
I did. I said the kick's in the wrong spot.
It's like it's like ahead of the beat, or it's like
I did set it up that way. Is what I meant to say is he hit the bass drum twice, and he should have only hit it once. So they erased one.
Wow.
And he goes, and he goes, now it's erased. Rewound it, played it back. The second kick drum is gone. And he's like, that's what it's supposed to sound like. Much better.
And now you just take your cursor and you select it and delete. It's so easy.
But it's almost too perfect now.
Yeah.
That's my big problem with a lot of modern rock and metal music.
Right.
And you come from the alternative rock scene, so I'm interested to hear what you think about this. But for me, things are almost too perfect now.
Yeah.
There's no... when I came up, it was called swing. Now guys call it groove.
Yeah.
But for me, it was literally called swing. There's no swing in the music anymore.
You're right.
Everything's sterile.
There was like a period, it seemed like it was starting in the, earlier mid 2000s where, and you're right, in metal particularly, and a lot of pop music, there was a perfection where everything was quantized. I mean, they were quantizing drums, guitars, bass, and it completely takes away any personality. You might as well literally be a computer playing music, which, again, hey, I like computers playing music too. I'm totally into that if that's what you're really trying to accomplish, and that's your
what
end
you're
goal.
going for, is what you're saying.
But a rock and roll band that is brought to that level of perfection is not a real rock and roll band anymore, on tape or on recording. So,
do you see the Black Crowes little Instagram campaign that they got going on? It's kind of cool, actually, man. So they're doing... I can't believe I have to say this. Anybody who doesn't know what the Black Crowes is, it's a hey little thing, let me light your candle, cause mama, I'm so out to handle now. Yes, and now. That's
great
Black Crowes.
Band though, great band.
Elite level band.
Yeah,
like truly like. Okay, so the Black Crowes are so good that other bands who were bigger than them, would reference the Black Crowes as the best band that they know of, much like all those 80s hair metal bands.
Yeah.
Name one, doesn't matter. If they were
Poison.
If they're from LA, you ask the guys in Poison who the best band in LA was, almost unanimously they would come back with the Scorpions.
Wow.
I know, right? It's weird.
Yeah.
But like in the scene, the Scorpions were the best band.
Wow.
They may have not been the most successful out of all of those bands that came out of LA between 1977 and 1994. But that was the band that everyone was like, the Scorpions. The Scorpions. It was like almost unanimous. Every once in a while, you'd get a Metallica in there, or somebody, you know what I mean? But like everyone was like, no, it's the Scorpions. I feel like that's those guys.
Yeah.
They're the Scorpions in that scene.
I'll buy that.
Like the Black Crowes are that good.
Right.
They're so good that bands that are way bigger than them are like, no, the Black Crowes are the best band around.
Right.
In the late 80s, early 90s
Yeah.
when they were hitting it hard.
They're a true American / they could, I mean, they're obviously an American band, but they, I think, translate overseas super well too, because what they do is so universal rock and roll, and it's very true. You know, like they don't need to fix everything. Chris Robinson can sing great.
Mm-hmm.
Rich Robinson's an awesome guitar player. They write great songs, but yeah, fantastic band. But what were you saying?
What was my point of why I brought it up? So they have this cool Instagram campaign going on to promote their new album that they just recorded, and they basically went as close to old school live recording as possible. They didn't use in-ears. They went out of their way to not like... They tried to create an organic rock record like you would have in the 70s or 80s.
Yeah.
And whether you like it or not is up to you.
Yeah.
But you can't deny how dope they are.
Yeah.
And if you think you can just do that in your fucking bedroom with your buddies, you're being a disingenuous asshole. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
It's like and again, let's tie it back to where we started this conversation. Yeah. It's not the 10 to 12 minutes we jammed.
No.
That you're paying for, where we shit out. And I'm using that phrase intentionally. We shit out 2 songs.
Yeah.
We're just like, I literally say, you go, what do you want to play? Cover? And I go, just play something.
Yeah.
Anything you want, just play it, and I'm going to vibe to it.
Yeah.
Let's set the tone for the day, right?
Right.
We did that, dude.
Yeah.
We shit out 2 songs. Shout out 2 songs.
That's the proper past tense.
Whether they're shout out, whether they're good or not is up to the world.
Yeah.
But the reality is we did that.
Right. And it takes
20 years of experience
to do something
get there.
To that point. Right.
That's what the point is.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, there's a different level. And for me, I don't think it comes from anywhere else other than playing live shows and rehearsals with other musicians in the same room, in real life, in real time. How crazy do I sound right now?
You sound totally rational. It's exactly the truth. I mean, if you want to become a musician, if you wanted, like, if someone was looking to do this, the best way to do it is like full immersion in it. You know, you have to live it and breathe it and play a million shows. You got to play the bad shows where you can't hear yourself, and you know, and it's like you can't have everything perfect all the time. You got to like go through the worst.
You have to literally learn how to. I can't hear anything.
Yes,
except for my drummer's snare.
Yeah,
that's all I get.
Yeah, and
the reason that matters, and tell me if I'm wrong, is because in those scenarios, we're not only is not everything perfect, but nothing is right. Nothing is even right. Yeah. The only thing you can slightly make out is the drummer's snare drum. Why this is important is because it forces you as a band member, as a young musician, to learn how to develop a great meter as a guitar player, which we're notorious for not having. Yes. And I will throw down for this because I am a guitar player and I'm a drummer. Yeah. And I'm telling you, my meter is way better as a drummer than it is as a guitar player. And I can say this verifiably. Like, I know this as fact. So there's something about the way the instruments work as well. It's not just your fault because you're a guitar player. It's literally the instrument you're playing. It does not lend itself to great tempo. Because there's so much about the...
I know what you mean. You have a different role. Like, you're in a different headspace. When you're playing drums,
like a figure skater.
You're there to, like, be the foundation. You are, like, you know, you're a rock,
you know what
right?
It is? Yeah. This is incredibly inappropriate. Here's what it is. When you're a drummer, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do this because this is the only way that this is ever going to make sense. Okay, so when you're a drummer, you're mid-fuck doggy style, right? So it's just bam, bam, bam. It's about keeping that perfect rhythm. I told you that was going to fall eventually, right? It's just all about that perfect rhythm, right? But when you're a guitar player, it's about making out.
Yeah.
You're making out. You're not fucking. There is no rhythm. There is no slapping cheeks.
Right.
You're making out. Yeah. There's no rhythm to making out. It is completely an interaction and a collaboration between the person you're making out with, which only teenagers like to do anyways. Yeah. But you know I'm buzzed when I start cracking myself up. I'm sorry, Ryan.
It's all right.
I'm ruining our podcast.
It's all right. No, but you're right. You're right. It's a very different approach to music when you're a guitar player than when you're, but I guess like if there are those rhythm guitar players like Malcolm Young, that are super solid too. I guess it all depends on like where you're coming from as a musician with the instrument that you're playing. Like sometimes, it is about laying down the groove, and sometimes, you cut loose. Like if you're playing lead guitar, you have to almost abandon time sometimes, if you're going for it, like Eddie Van Halen, like would have never probably played like all those interesting, crazy rhythms he played if he was going, I'm going to count. Yeah. If he's like, I'm going to count this out. This is going to be quintuplets followed by 16th note triplets. And then, he's not doing that.
Or maybe he did, but his meter wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
So he rushes a note.
Yeah.
He pushes a note. James Hetfield was fucking notorious for this. I don't know if you're a Metallica fan or not.
I am, yeah.
But James Hetfield, I think, is one of the greatest guitar players that has ever lived. And I think he's one of the most underrated guitar players who have ever lived, because he is in that category of Michael Jackson, Pink Floyd. There's a handful of bands that you just don't cover because you can't do it right. Stop.
Queen, you don't. Well, you
keep going.
Some people.
Keep going.
Okay, I would say Queen, Guns N' Roses. Like, although there are some really good tribute bands out there that covered Guns N' Roses, but I mean, trying to sing like Axl Rose. I mean, that's a real challenge. I mean, if you can pull it off, hats off to you. Speaking of which, I did have to cover Guns N' Roses song recently. I did a show where I was taking requests, and I'm like, I'll play anything I get the request for in time, and I got a request for Guns N' Roses. And I mean, I will tell you, it is not something I would choose to do myself, not because I don't like it, because they're great. It's that Axl Rose's voice is unmatchable. Sting, like
Pink Floyd's in there.
Pink Floyd's in there for sure.
ZZ Top is in there, believe it or not. ZZ Top is in there, believe it or not. I know you guys think I'm crazy for saying ZZ Top, but they're in there because I've watched y'all do ZZ Top covers over the last 2 years since Old Boy died, and none of you are doing them right.
Hey, that's not fair. Yeah, no, you're totally right. And the
closest was The Issue. There's a local band called The Issue.
Yeah.
Really good. I've had those boys on the podcast.
Okay. Doing ZZ Top?
Yeah, they did a ZZ Top right after Old Boy died. And it worked.
Yeah.
Because they're a good band. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they did it their way.
Yeah.
They covered the song, but they did it their way, and that's why it worked.
Yeah. Well, we play LaGrange sometimes, just in the practice space.
Great song. Dude,
it's a
ZZ
fun
Top,
one to play. Yeah.
Have you ever seen them live?
Regrettably, I have not.
Neither did I. The reason I bring this up is because not only did I not see them live, but they're one of those bands that, they always had a catchy song on the radio.
Yeah.
Always. My entire life.
Yeah.
But they were always one of those bands that were constantly under my radar.
Yeah.
They were a band that used to be big in my mind.
Yeah.
This is just my childish headspace. Right, my whole life, not just in the last couple of years. I'm talking my whole life.
Yeah,
they were always a band that used to be super big, and a band that certain adults in my life rave about.
Right.
And it wasn't until about 2 years before Old Boy died, like for real, it was a couple years right before he died. Something triggered the algorithm that said Jared needs to start listening to ZZ Top. Because live videos of ZZ Top started showing up in my feed. And I started watching ZZ Top live videos, from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction to fucking Lollapalooza to whatever it was, right? Bro, there's a series of Facebook posts from me and tweets, sober and wasted, talking about this band is incredible. And it's one of the few bands that I never saw live that I was able to get it. I was able to truly get it without seeing them live. There's a huge library of bands in this world that you don't get it until you see them live, and then you go, holy fuck, they're great.
Yeah.
What are some of those bands for you?
Wow.
Obviously ZZ Top being one.
Well, yeah, I will include ZZ Top, because I'll tell you this, like when I said regrettably I've never seen them, I had a friend in high school say he had tickets to or there was a ZZ Top concert, and he asked me if I wanted to go. And I remember at that time, I was listening to punk rock and weird music, and I was like, ZZ Top. I looked at him, I'm like, I'm gonna go see ZZ Top. I had no idea how great they were and how big of a dumb mistake that was. I regret, because like you, I've seen. I heard a lot of people I trust, say
they're the epitome of they make it look easy.
Yeah, right. They make it look easy. When you're a kid and you're listening to them, it's like, it sounds like, well, that's 3 chords and it's just so solid. It sounds like boring. It sounds boring, and it's so huge that it was so mainstream. It didn't seem like intriguing at all. But once I gave it a chance, I'm like, wow, because of people that I trusted their musical taste and their opinions, I was like, wow, this is a great band. I respect this band.
So somebody, not me, but somebody like me, like super assertive and opinionated, and they go, no, listen, motherfucker, ZZ fucking Top, bro, like drunken one night at a party, and you're so annoyed. The next morning you wake up and you're like, fine, fucking all seriously listen to ZZ, and then you're like,
ZZ Top.
And you're like, that drunk piece of shit was right.
Yeah,
like holy fuck, ZZ Top is the shit.
Yeah,
and for me. Not only was it watching that shit, those live videos on YouTube where I'm like, oh my God, these guys are good. And again, it looks easy. But I see now. I see the Matrix. That's what it really is I can see the fucking Matrix. So I go, oh my God, these guys are good. Then I challenge you to turn around and try to cover it.
Right.
So that's where we started. This was like great bands you maybe haven't seen live that are underrated, blah, 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 blah. But really where this started from is like bands you probably shouldn't cover, because you're just not going to do it justice.
Yeah.
That's where we really
Yeah. So I think we established ZZ Top,
definitely
Queen, Guns N' Roses,
Queen,
Sting, or the Police.
GNR.
Yep.
I'll agree with Sting and the Police, yep.
Okay.
100%. Metallica's got to be in there.
Metallica. Yeah, Metallica.
Ozzy needs to be in there.
Yeah.
Ozzy needs to be in there. Prince, Michael Jackson, both.
Yeah. There are a lot of Prince tributes right now, and
is that a national thing? You would know better than I would.
I think it is a national thing now.
They all need to fuck off, including the local ones. They just need to stop. The local ones seem like they're gold digging to me. Like honestly, the local Prince things, it seems so disingenuous to me. And fucking unsubscribe if you think I'm being a dick. I'm just being honest, you guys. I'm just being honest, man. There's a lot of guys that I just don't like how I seen and heard what they said about that guy when he was alive versus how they capitalized on his name after he died. I'm just not down with it, dude. It's an integrity thing for me, man. And a lot of them just need to fuck off.
Well, I have noticed that when he died, I have noticed like a change in tone of the way people talk about him that knew him. And yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't know it
because he fucked over a lot of people. That's the point. It's like I stay true to exactly what I said. I've never been a Prince fan. I respect Prince for what he did for this town.
Yeah,
and I've said this since I've been 14 years old.
Yeah,
I'm not a Prince fan. I respect what he did for this town. I respect him as a musician, and I've grown to respect him more and more as I've aged and understood the nuance, difficulty, and expertise he carried on multiple levels: drums, bass, guitar, vocals, producer, engineer, performer. I mean, that's like literally the whole package. Michael Jackson was jealous of Prince.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Michael Jackson felt disrespected because he felt like Prince got more credibility and respect than he did. Like that's the level Prince was on.
Right. Prince had Michael Jackson go to a concert, and then during the concert, he walked over to he was playing bass in the song, and he walked over to Michael Jackson in the crowd, and he's like doing this bass solo like right in his face, and there's an interview with I forget who it was, whoever was with Michael Jackson at that. It's like on YouTube. I'm sure you can all search it, but he was saying like Michael Jackson was like, why do you think he did that? Why did he walk over to me and play that bass solo in my face? It's like, well, probably because he was trying to show you he can play everything, and and he wrote,
you can't.
Yeah. And I love Michael Jackson too. Like, I mean, musically, like they're, both of those two guys were sick, but yeah, I mean, Prince's like output was, Michael Jackson took so many years to make a record, right? Prince would make them. He'd wake up the next day with a new record. You know, it was crazy how much he created music, and so.
And what is more? Okay, let's unpack that for just a second, because being able to make a record in a day is not impressive,
right? Unless it's good, but yeah,
you nailed it. You nailed it.
Right.
You literally took the words out of my mouth. Making a good record in any amount of time is a lifetime achievement.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to put this in perspective for everyone. And yes, I'm going to pontificate. Fucking tune out now, unsubscribe, whatever. I'm going to go on my rant like I always do. And I'm not trying to create clips or
okay,
chase
hold on. I
ratings.
got to hit my unsubscribe button. Hold on 1 second.
There's entire careers.
Yeah.
Entire lifetimes. Like 5 guys. They're the epitome of their life.
Yeah.
The only thing they'll ever be remembered for after they die, beyond their initial loved ones, is one song.
Yeah.
And I've talked about this on this podcast. Just to create a band, period. Like, let's say you and I aren't. Well, you're at a different level than I am. I've never really been on your level, but I've flirted with your level. I've been close. I've worked with people on your level. Maybe someday I'll get on that level if I keep practicing. But here's what I'm really getting at. You and I are in a world. We live in a world where people dream of this. And it doesn't feel like we're living a dream. It doesn't feel like we're living the dream. It just feels like we have a life.
Yeah.
Right. And there's struggles and there's consequences and there's, benefits, just like everybody else's lives. You know, you get to see cool places, go on vacation, blah, 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 blah. Dope. Right. Meet cool people. Cool. Awesome. There's millions of people that never, ever get to play one show. They start a band and they never even make it to their first show. Let alone the next tier, which is like, we recorded an album and it's on iTunes or Spotify. Or the next level where it's like, we went on tour. Even just playing out of town, just doing like a Weekend Warrior thing where you did fucking Des Moines, Sioux Falls, and came back and did Mankato, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Like, again, we're just stacking up millions of people who haven't done these things.
Right.
And guys like us typically don't appreciate any of these rungs we've already climbed.
Right.
Those were like expected, or they were, whatever.
Yeah.
But we don't understand there's so many people who haven't done this. Okay, now where I'm going with this is you keep going through these millions of people that are in each of these tiers. There's entire careers, entire lifetimes, entire bands, which is handfuls of people that are tied up into everything they ever did comes down to one hit, one song.
Yeah.
And then there's another group where it's like they had one album, and that's what you were talking about, is they had this one album.
Yeah.
So to get to the tier where you have like an actual tangible long-term career, where people know you, like Dave Grohl,
right,
bro,
James
insane. Hetfield,
right,
Bon Jovi, and I think a lot of people don't understand it's more than just talent. It's work ethic, it's dedication, it's sacrifice, it's humility, it's being easy to work with. There's all of these things. So again, to get back to this idea that Prince could wake up with an entire album in a day.
Yeah.
But it's good.
Yeah.
Like you and I could write an album today.
Right.
We kind of already proved that.
Right. We proved it. We did 2 out of 10 tracks in about 15 minutes.
Or less.
10 minutes, yeah.
And dude, there was zero communication, zero warm-up, zero practice, zero nothing. It was play a riff, all jam to it. And they were actually kind of good. Yeah. Like they weren't horrible. Like I think we're being a little...
I will rate them PG-13 pretty good.
I think we're being a little humble about it. But where I'm going with this is like what he was doing was elite.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm getting at is like it'll take guys an entire lifetime to write one great song.
Right.
That is a hit.
Yeah.
It'll take guys a couple years.
Yeah.
And they're the best in the game to write one great album.
Yeah.
And that's all they ever do. One great album and they're done.
Yeah.
And then there's people like Prince and Michael Jackson And they technically weren't even on the same tier, because that's what we're really talking about, right? It's like Michael Jackson was the greatest of all time, the king of rock and roll, the king of pop, whatever the fuck you want to call
whatever
him.
You want to call him.
And then he was jealous of Prince.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is like no matter
that's
what
how
level
good Prince was.
Right. And no matter what level
right
you're at,
grew up right down the road.
Somebody, Prince, he had a few houses, like, because my uncle, he lived by my uncle too in St. Paul, which I think that might have been he like went between two houses.
Oh yeah,
so,
he lived in multiple neighborhoods, just like a lot of poor people do. You know, I'm staying with my aunt this summer. I'm staying with my uncle next summer, whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't. I mean, I lived with my grandma for a while.
Yeah.
You know, for a couple summers, because things just didn't make sense. You know? And it is what it is. I mean, being poor is a tough life, dude.
Yeah.
But I think it also makes you a better musician.
Right. Yeah.
Being poor, suffering, having your heart broken.
If you've never suffered and you're a musician, it's hard to have the. I don't know. It's hard to find the meaning in what you're doing. I don't know. Like, I mean, everybody suffered, you know. I mean, I think maybe not, but
I gotta take a leak. I want to play one of your songs.
Okay.
Let's see. Because I don't remember what order we put these in, and I don't think you do either.
Well, actually, I think I remember the first one was. If it's that first one, it was Soul Asylum, a studio video. Is that the one you're talking about?
I think you're right.
Yes.
I think you're right.
And actually, since you were talking about how people make records differently, that record we made the old-fashioned way, where you sit in a room and you play the songs live, and we overdubbed, you know, from that. But like every modern record does, but it did start not with the guitar vocal first. It started with everybody playing in a room.
So I think it's important, if you guys are watching this podcast, we're going to play this track. We're sitting in a good studio. We got nice monitors, like really nice monitors, actually. Kind of obnoxiously nice monitors.
Yeah.
And these headphones are okay as well. The point is if you're just watching on your phone right now, that's what I'm getting at, is like take us, we're going to give you like a 30-second buffer to grab some headphones or some AirBuds or some earbuds or something. Because and you can call me out if I'm exaggerating at all. Mike hits the snare drum and the band kicks in, and I went, holy fuck, this sounds good.
You said that. I can't say that it sounds good, because, you know, then it's like you're saying, hey,
I've heard a lot of songs.
Okay.
I've heard a lot of songs on YouTube.
Yeah.
And we're playing a YouTube link. You guys are going to watch a video. And I was like genuinely like, holy fuck, that sounds really good. Like, I was blown away by the sound quality, the production quality, whatever your fucking verbiage is. But so this is a Soul Asylum song?
Yeah. The beginning is from Hurry Up and Wait.
All right. We're going to take a leak. We'll be back in a minute. Mute. Should kick up any second. There we go.
Now watch, I'm wrong. And it's
right.
Everyone's waiting to see if you're coming out of your shell for a while. Cupid and Casper were asking about you. You used to be so wild. I know how it is, you get drunk at a party. It seems there's someone you should call. Then the cycle begins, you decide to stay in. You don't talk to anyone at all. Never know what you might find. You never know what you leave behind. This is the beginning of a great adventure. Now's not the time to step aside. I've had my share of missteps and delusions, had trips and tales that I told. Every conclusion is better than never, happily after all. You dig yourself out of the tangle of barbed wire, fighting over every wall. And then you get over, you pull yourself up by the straps of your
Yeah. You got to tip the match upside down because they go. That's what I was struggling with too.
Yeah.
Mine went out too. And these fucking matches, as great as they are, by the way, long stem matches.
Yeah, I just see it says cigar matches.
Yeah. Like, these are the greatest matches of all time for lighting a cigar. But you still got to tip them upside down because they don't stay lit very well. It's kind of pain in the ass. Yeah, you got to like fucking... You're like doing this weird...
Wow.
But yeah. Here, you want to use that?
I'll do it later. I'm
sure?
I'm too uncoordinated. It'll turn into a comedy.
I should have
act.
grabbed my torch lighter. It's upstairs somewhere.
Yeah.
I had it this morning and I couldn't find... No, I didn't. I couldn't find it this morning either because we did the morning show and I couldn't find it this morning either. But no, again, when we played that, I was just like, holy fuck, that sounds good. But that's Michael Bland on drums. That's Dave Perner on vocals. That's Soul Asylum, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the top of the mountain for Minnesota, bro. You know, we have some elite level musicians. You know, bass player from Megadeth is from here.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that cool? Dave Elvison, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, he actually a long time ago reached out, like got an email or a phone call from him, and I didn't think it was real. And he said, so this band I've had for a million years, the Melismatics, he had called me and left me a message saying he wanted to produce us. And I was like, this can't be real. I'm
right?
like,
that seems weird.
Megadeth. I'm like, number one. I'm like, we're like an alternative band. I'm like, and then I found out later, you know, oh yeah, he lives in Minneapolis or Minnesota, and he actually loves stuff like, you know, punk, alternative, power pop. I had no idea, and I kind of regret that I didn't, you know, like call back. I didn't think it was real, you know, at the time, and yeah. I bet that would have been a fun experience making a record.
I would have thought
with
it was
him.
bullshit too, if I'm being honest with you, dude. I wouldn't have thought it was real.
Yeah.
I've had people prank me.
Yeah.
Fucking with me about like, oh, we love your band, we want to sign you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I knew. I was like,
did you
I'd start
call
talking
back
shit
and be
back.
like,
no, I just started in the messages. I started talking shit. Because I could figure it out, you know, like, dude, because I'm in the actual business of this world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know what real people talk like and sound like, you know?
Yeah.
It's like the IRS doesn't make phone calls. It's that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Literally, I spilled.
Oh, well, yeah.
It's that kind of shit.
Right.
You know, it's like certain communications don't happen in certain mediums. It's just not a thing. I spilled a little bit of my beer. I forgot I opened it, and then I put it in the koozie. And I'm out of paper. Oh, there we go. Boom. That's why we stopped keeping the keyboard on the table.
Yeah.
Dude, I ruined a keyboard one night. We were fucking drunk down here partying. We were doing a podcast. I had a band on. We were fucking... Dude, I got fucking like... We got almost blackout drunk. Like, it was crazy. I fucking spilled this like juicy... You ever had a milkshake IPA?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever had... what are they fucking called? Smoothie IPAs?
Don't know if I don't think so. Is that like just extra thick?
They're
and like
thick.
Okay, yeah.
They're thick. It's kind of like drinking a smoothie.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, it's wild, dude. Well, I basically fucking spilled something between a milkshake and a smoothie IPA, and it hit this keyboard.
Oh no.
And you can actually see it. You can actually see how bad it is, dude. Like, yeah, it's a bit crunchy.
Yeah.
There's $100 down the drain.
That's
no big deal.
Sucks.
No big deal. We shake our dick at $100. It's not a big deal. I don't know why I said that. That's not true. I don't shake my dick at $100. I've never I mean, there might have been a time I shook my dick at $100, but right now I'd fucking smack my lips at $100. Like, come over here, baby. Hey, $100. What are you doing? Come here. I'm such a moron. Cheers, my brother.
Cheers.
I'm honored to have you here. This is a blast.
It's an honor to be here.
Are you having fun?
I'm having a blast. Thank you so much. This is fun.
Hilarious.
Yeah, and I love the jam. I love your idea of like how to connect like that. It's cool. You got a good thing going.
It's weird though, right? Let's be honest. It
is weird, but you know, I feel like if a podcast is not weird, and if it's not, then it's boring. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's got to be something that
you're right.
If we're interested, you know, then it's like, oh, that's interesting. Like,
but that's why I kind of wanted to do it this way
Yeah.
today, specifically because you were like, hey man, I'm not opposed to day drinking. Like, let's start it at noon. Let's fucking drink a little whiskey and some beers. I was like, all right, bro, if we're gonna do that, bring your guitar. Let's jam beforehand.
Yeah.
Let's fucking set the vibe, dude.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
fucking drink some gars or drink some beers and
well,
smoke some
hey,
gars.
you know, you can drink.
You can drink a
You can
gar.
drink a
I don't
cigar.
recommend it. It's not gonna go well. But let's talk about a little bit more of you. Okay, we started off this first little chunk and we talked a lot about a random shit, fucking whatever, right? But I want to get to know a little bit more about you. So, without doing a full biography, let's try to hit some not highlights, but let's try to hit some key points. Okay?
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to Tarantino this bitch. This is a phrase we do on this podcast all the time. So we're going to kind of jump through the timeline of your career.
Yeah, right.
So obviously you have some gigs coming up, which is one of the reasons you wanted to come on and hang out. You've got some solo stuff going on where you're doing your own deal. And I think this is important because even a guy who's in a band like a Soul Asylum or, you know, a guy like Mike Bland who played for Prince, like you don't just get one gig and you're set for life anymore. That's just not how the music industry works. You have to treat it like a day job, like an actual job.
Yeah.
And I this needs to be crucially explained. And I really want you to break. I'm gonna set the stage for you and kind of direct you where I want you to go with this. But I want you to kind of explain how this works practically.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're in Soul Asylum. Soul Asylum is absolutely, in my opinion, and mine's the only one that matters in this world because I'm right and anyone who disagrees with me is an idiot. But but you guys are in a tier, how I would describe it, at a top of a pyramid with the Bob Dylans, with the Princes, with the American Head Charges, After the Burial, Soul Asylum, and you probably throw Trampled by Turtles in there. These are real elite level, and obviously Prince is way above everybody in that crew, but you're officially in the top tier of the pyramid. Now Prince might be at the top of the top of the top.
Yeah, there's a top of everything, right? There's
right,
always...
exactly. But Soul Asylum is in that world. Okay, After the Burial's in that world. American Head Charges in that world. Trampled by Turtles is in that world. Bob Dylan is in that world. This is a different echelon. This is a different echelon. Why this is important, why I'm breaking this down and explaining this, is I want to understand what it's like for you as a musician being in the Minneapolis music scene / industry, because we used to have a real music industry here, and then it turned into a scene, and then it became an industry again, and then it became a scene again, and I'm not sure where it is right now. We're kind of still figuring things out.
I don't know where it is now either.
I think we're kind of figuring things out. I think we're in the right direction, but what was it like when you got the call and you realized, oh fuck, I've been a pro for a while.
Yeah,
we've talked a lot about going from amateur to pro on this podcast, but what I'm interested in, something I have never experienced, is you go, I've been a pro for a while, but now I'm getting the call, like to the real majors, like okay, let's put this in baseball terms. I don't care if you like baseball, a lot of listeners do, and everybody understands it. Okay, I've been in the minors for a while. I'm big in Minneapolis. That's what that means. Big in Minneapolis. Okay, now I'm starting to develop a name. Okay, I'm big in the Midwest. We even got a little buzz on the East Coast or West Coast, whatever your deal is, right? Oh shit! And then you're in the majors. Yeah, like oh shit, dude, yeah. Like I'm in the majors now. Like I'm a pro. I'm a real pro. I'm doing this thing. And then all of a sudden, when you get to that tier, it's like, oh, we're putting together like an actual all-star team, like the pros of pros, like the next level of that tier. What is it like when you get that call? And what was it like for you specifically? Let's break that down.
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I remember it very clearly the day I got the call, because
just to put it in context.
Yeah.
I want to set this so you don't have to explain this. Nothing actually changed for you. Like one day you weren't a better musician.
Right. Yeah.
Nothing is
right.
different in you.
It's not like suddenly, and you actually nailed it on the head about that, in the sense of like, it's interesting how perceptions of you change, but you didn't change. Like you didn't actually get better or you weren't worse. It's like the perception.
Or your
changed.
Value.
Yeah.
Depending on who you're talking to.
Your value, yes.
Right? Depending on your language, right? We're kind of we're kind of in a weird area right now in this conversation. This is not a conversation that is easily talked about on the internet.
Yeah.
But I think this is crucial, and I think it's really important. I want to talk to more successful musicians about this.
Yeah.
About when you go from my level to your level. Because there's millions of people at my level.
Yeah. Right. This for
and
anybody,
there's only a couple 100,000 of you.
You're right. It's like there is a strange, unfair, weird, funnel or something.
I don't think it's unfair. Like, but let's keep going.
Okay.
But keep going.
Okay.
But keep going. I don't think it's unfair, but keep going.
But I mean, I think the thing to remember is like, if whatever level you're at, you have to, I guess like, know that it's not like you're not at a level necessarily just because of your ability or your work, or there are some things that are luck, and there's some things that are like, I remember Grant Hart from Husker Du, who I used to play with like a long time ago, said that, like, when he put his bands together, he'd be like, I got meaning I'm saying what Grant was saying, not me.
Right. You're Grant right now.
I'm Grant right now. Like, I got here out of a fluke of like, of the strangeness of the music industry, and that's why I'm here. And I want everybody in this band to get something out of it that's gonna that they can, use to go somewhere with it. Because I got this fluke, and now here's your fluke, And I really respected that, because I'm like, it shows that you have a sense of like, everybody's lucky in some level, everybody's unlucky in some levels, but you're right. There's like the strange funnel. It's not it's very unbalanced. But if you're in the level that you want to get to the next level, and there is always next level unless you're literally Prince, right?
Right.
And he still was always striving, and he was down, like before he died, he was not at his peak, as far as like what the public would say, sales of albums.
That's when I got to know him was and I didn't get to know him. I worked with him and his team.
Yeah.
I did not get to know Prince. I don't know why the fuck I said that.
But
I don't know why I even phrased it that way. Like, I did not get to know Prince.
No,
I shot a music video with his crew.
Yeah.
It was not
at Paisley Park. Is that? Yeah, that's an awesome place to shoot a video.
Third Eye Girl, I think is what it was called. Yeah.
Wait, were you?
So the gun in that video that they shot, Fix Up Your Life or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
The gun that's in that video.
Yeah.
That's my grandfather's Marine issued pistol.
Wow.
That was loaned to me through my father for a long period of time. I don't currently have it. It's back. Yeah. It's back with my family. But that gun that my grandfather, actually technically my dad is the one who has it in his safe. My biological father, I'm fucking saying this wrong. My biological grandfather, that's his pistol. Okay. And he's still alive.
Wow.
My biological father has that pistol right now. I had it at the time. I got tight with that crew, the Prince's crew. They invited me down to Paisley Park to shoot that music video because they were comfortable enough with me to just flat out ask me, do you own a gun? And I was like, yeah, I got a fucking gun. I got lots of guns. It's fucking Minnesota. I'm a farm boy. What are you asking? Even though we're in Edina, Minnesota at the time.
Okay.
And so they just asked me, they were like, can you get one of your guns? And they asked me for pictures. And so I obviously don't have them on my phone because I'm not a fucking asshole. Right. So I Googled them and I was like, this is the gun that I would be willing to bring.
So
And they were like, that's perfect. That's actually the gun we're looking for.
Wow.
Like the type.
Yeah,
they just wanted a revolver style pistol, and I happen to have it. So I went down there. We shot the video. It was not the greatest experience I've had. They were assholes. No, they were assholes. They were total. I think they paid me $50 for gas money.
Okay, yeah, well, that sucks. That's
that's
not good.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like it was like, fuck you guys, man.
Yeah.
Like this should have been $5,000.
Yeah.
Like if you would have been in Hollywood and shot this music video, you owe me $5,000.
Right.
Instead, I got $50.
Yeah.
That's what working with Prince was actually like. Yeah. Unless you're Michael Bland. Because we used to get to know those guys in Guitar Center, and they used to talk about how they get paid for rehearsals better than they get paid at most shows.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting.
So it goes back to the tiers thing. It goes back to the tiers thing. Where I was at on the level is I got underpaid.
Sure.
And then if you're at Michael Bland's level, you got overpaid.
Yeah.
Because that's basically what those guys were describing to us when we were selling him gear at Guitar Center.
Yeah.
That's how I got to know Michael Bland. That's how I got. And he doesn't know me by name.
Okay.
He'd probably recognize me, and if we like talked for a few minutes, he'd be like, I do fucking remember you.
And that's a trip.
Which that's your drummer we're talking about.
Well,
to put it in context, because Mike's come up on the podcast a fuck ton. To put it in context, that's his drummer. We're talking about his drummer right now. He would definitely not remember me if even if he watched this podcast.
But,
I would have to have personal conversations with him and be like, do you remember these very weird specific? And then he'd go, oh fuck, I do remember you.
He has an incredible memory. Like you might be surprised. He has a really good memory. Well, you wouldn't be surprised because that's one of the things before I ever played with him that everybody in Minneapolis knew about Michael Bland is that he had photographic memory. That's probably why he's so good. He would memorize every lyric, everybody's parts, everybody's chords. He knew everything.
Let's get back to you. Let's get back to you. We're getting sidetracked. We're both a little buzzed up. We're having fun. We're having a great time. But I really want to try to get to know you a little bit more. I want the listeners and the viewers.
You were going through the call. Like,
what is it like when you and is specifically you already know you're dope. You already know you're a pro. There is no weird insecurities like some of the other guys I've had. I had a guy on who basically lived Zakk Wylde's life. Like he went from literally nothing to going to a nationally touring band.
Yeah.
Like essentially overnight. He went from fucking Nebraska, came to Minneapolis, auditioned for a band, got the job, and went on tour within a week to big crowds.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about.
Okay.
You're established. You're doing your thing. You're in this town.
Yeah.
You're the man. You know you're a pro. Where are you mentally and financially is where I'm really interested. Like mentally as far as confidence and shit. Financially as far as like, do you still have a day job? Are you trying to like make that? Where are you in that respect? And then you get the call.
Yeah.
Where suddenly you go, oh fuck, dude. Like, now I'm a real pro. Like I got to a different level. What is that like?
Yeah.
And how did that happen for you?
So maybe I should set the stage a little bit about like what was going on in life at that time. So I had been in a band, the Melismatics, that I started. Like we had been touring hard for 15. Let's see, it probably like close to 15 years at that point. Okay, and the band went all around the country. We went to other countries, toured a lot, worked extremely hard. And I think the band in general got frustrated and tired, which is very understandable if you're doing that long. And so two things were really major at that time. One, that band slowed down and kind of decided to not play for a while, like kind of take a hiatus, which to me was kind of a crushing blow because it was the band I cared about and it was like the thing I did with my entire life, basically. You probably can relate to that, like in something. If you got a thing that is your passion in life and then it's gone, it's just like pretty sucky. So then I was also having a baby at the time. Okay, so then I'm like, now I'm reinventing what I do and I need to be a solid
And are you trying to hold down
provider.
a day job at this time?
Well, so at that point, I was coming out of the Melismatics. I mean, and we're still a band.
And the
We just
reason I'm
played it,
asking
but-
this,
yeah.
the reason I'm asking this is because the people that do know me and my history is I was in a band called Dying Euphoria, and we were opening for bands that were opening for Killswitch Engage, right? So like on the local level, we were opening for a band called Diecast, and Diecast opened on tour for Killswitch Engage. And I think this is the worst thing that ever happened to my guitar player in his entire career. He asked the guys from Diecast, "What do you do when you're not on tour?" And he goes, "I work at Best Buy and I sleep on my mom's couch."
Yeah.
And I watched my entire guitar player's belief system, his entire world, become deflated like a fucking blimp that got a bullet hole through it. Just and I watched him fall down to earth and give up on his dreams in a matter of like 6 months.
Yeah.
Like it's a long journey, but from that statement that was made way up there, almost to the top of the game, what he heard was, "You're always going to be poor. You're always going to be broke. There is no fame. There is no fortune."
Yeah. And
that's why I'm asking. So when you get this call,
when you get the call, right?
Were you, because that's not true. First of all, that's not true.
Right.
That's that's that guy's version of his life.
Yeah, and some people are dramatic, and some people, and especially some people I mean, it's all like, I mean, because I mean, and I know there's so many sidetracks here. I don't mean to, but when we were talking about bands that have like one song that people know, I remember the Melismatics did a bunch of shows with the Romantics. Like What I Like About You, and they had two really notable, lasting hit songs. And actually, What I Like About You wasn't even a hit song when it came out. It was like a underground thing, and then it was like on commercials. Then it, I think, charted. And then what was the other one? Talking in My Sleep. Anyway, I remember seeing those guys being like, they're riding in a limousine, they're playing these big shows, making large paychecks, and I was like, this is off of one or two songs. And I'm like, I think that's pretty sweet. If you can, like, because they're never worried. They have work constantly for the rest of they can do it forever, And I think that, some bands, if they're new, like I remember, somebody saying when what's the band that I'm System of a Down, when they were like a new band. Like somebody I know had talked to their guitar player who said, "Oh, we live off of $15 a day," and but I mean, obviously they got past that. You know what I mean? That was like maybe even early on of success, they were still kind of struggling. But I mean, you're right. Like that's not the reality ultimately, and some people are drama queens about it, and they like act like well, this all sucks. But if you stay in the game long enough, you figure it out,
Right, and that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And like, so to go from like the kind of where I came up, I'm fucking. It's 2004. I'm 20 years old. I'm coming into the industry. Like, dude, I was getting way overpaid in my day job. I had so much fucking money. I had this disillusion of how money and the world works, and I was talented enough to have my ego overinflated. Right? So I think I'm better than I am. The whole deal, right? But I watched my guitar player have this conversation and come completely deflated. And where I think that transition happened, I'm not 100% sure, but nowadays, in order to be a professional musician, you can't just be in a band unless you own all the rights to a song or publishing or whatever the fuck, right?
Yeah, right.
Now we have to do all these auxiliary things. You need an Instagram presence. Like part of my deal is like this fucking podcast, right? I did a Joe Rogan style podcast. That's part of me building my internet presence. So I have an online thing separated from the band I currently happen to be in. Whether it's mine or it's somebody else's. You need all these auxiliary things. Back then, this is even 5-6 years ago. This isn't factual. This is theoretical. We don't know what we're doing in the music career. So that's why I'm asking.
Yeah,
you. So where were you at? Were you trying to hold down the day job still? Had you figured out the balance between all of these things, and then you get the call? Like walk me through this process.
I was going through a really weird, hard, challenging time when I joined this band. Because like I said, I was kind of putting down the project I cared the most about, which was
the
hard.
Melismatics.
Yeah, which was very hard to do. Now, I had been also playing with my longtime friend Phil Solom. He's from the Rembrandts. Are you familiar with the Rembrandts?
Yes.
So the song
I'm not
everybody in
gonna sit
the
here and
world knows.
pretend I'm a scholar. But
No,
yes.
but well, okay. So one song everybody knows, and that's "I'll Be There for You." It was the Friends theme song. Okay.
That's the Rembrandts.
That's the Rembrandts, but that doesn't represent they were originally the two singers had a band called Great Buildings in the 70s, and that was a very kind of revered power pop post-punk band. And then the Rembrandts were this really amazing band that when they made that song for the Friends theme song, I think they thought they were doing like a side project that no one would hear. It's like, here's a TV show that no one's heard of. Can you make a song for this? Here's some money. No one's, whatever.
I swear to God that 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the claps. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4 is probably the most iconic thing other than do bum bum.
Yeah.
Phil Collins, right?
Sure.
You knew what I was doing, right?
I know exactly what you're doing.
Like, if I went name that tune, you could probably go.
I could name it. Well,
Friends,
I played that song so many. What's that? Yeah.
You could probably go Friends.
Oh,
and then same thing. If I went, you'd go, Phil Collins.
Yeah.
Like these random rhythms.
Yeah.
So bizarre.
Yeah. So
how iconic they become.
Oh, totally.
And they're like offshoots,
And I mean, that song for them, I think they saw it as a blessing and a curse. Like you said, you can identify it from hand claps.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You could go to the furthest corners of the world and people know that song.
And I could literally walk into a bingo establishment and go, name that tune. Clap, 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 clap.
Yeah, da, 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 da. Yeah. It's like, and people would be like,
Friends.
Yeah. So I mean, here's this band that had this, kind of. No, you're right. Yeah. So here's a band that has this legitimate career. They've written amazing music, extremely talented musicians, and they make this one song kind of like, off the side. Mm-hmm. And they had that record that came out, and this has to do with where. Going by the way, I'm not randomly telling this story. There is a tie in here, but
I'm following.
Okay,
I'm following.
Okay.
Hopefully the audience is as well. Yeah, because I'm totally following.
All right. I hope
we're
so as well.
Tarantinoing the shit out of this.
Yes. So that song got thrown on the album. That because the song went to number 1 as a shock to everybody. They didn't expect that anyone was even going to see the show or hear the song. And then now it's like the leading single on this record. Anyway, so Phil used to live in Minneapolis. He's one of the two songwriters of the band. And he's a longtime friend of mine. I played bass guitar for him for a long time, like his solo stuff. And I was playing bass, like the Rembrandts were starting to play again. So I was playing bass for them. And this is how this parlays into what I'm saying. Like, I was supposed to go on tour with the Rembrandts, and they were touring with Fastball. You know that band?
The original hardcore band of all time, baby. Yes, of course we know about Fastball on this podcast.
All right.
We have made fucking rants. And I mean, like, I could make 30-minute clips of me talking about Fastball, but not remembering their name. Because I'm like, it's the hardcore band. Yeah, Fastball, baby.
So Fastball decided that they had offered, which, by the way, is funny because I just played with Fastball a couple months ago, and they were doing the same thing with Joan Osborne. They were playing. So their I think drummer and bass player said, we can back up you guys. So basically, the Rembrandts were like, okay, well, we're going to take, because we're touring with Fastball is going to be our backup band. And then I think they ended up just doing an acoustic anyway. But so I found that out this one day, that this tour, it was going to be 7 weeks. And I'm like, oh, this tour is not happening. And I was really bummed, because I love those guys, love the music. And I was like, this, is depressing. And this is at a time, so like I said, that I left my longtime project or put it down for the moment. Was writing a bunch of songs, was teaching, which I love teaching. Like, so I have students, and I still to this day do love that with a passion, and doing all kinds of odd jobs on the side because I'm trying to like get ready for having a kid, right? So you got it. I'm the only, it's like I need to produce money, right? And then this tour gets canceled.
Again, to bring it back to the beginning of the conversation, right? Like, you got to figure out, dude, you love music. That's why you do it.
Yeah.
But now you want to raise a family and you don't want to stop doing music.
No.
How do we make money doing it?
And the weirdest thing, the same day that I got the phone call saying that tour is not happening, I got a call from Michael Bland saying, "Hey, Ryan, I was just wondering, would you ever consider playing guitar for Soul Asylum?" So the day that I got one tour canceled, I got that call from Michael, and I called Michael right away, and I'm like, "Yeah, what do you need?" And it happened super fast from there.
So going through your mind, obviously it's a yes, instantly yes, of course.
Yeah,
big name, Minneapolis, it's kind of like being, hey, you want to go play fucking drums for Head Charge? Like, of course, yeah, I do. When do you, if at all, and I want the young up and coming musicians to understand how these transition works. When, if at all, do you bring up money? When in these conversations do you, Ryan, say, how much does it pay?
Right.
Or when do I get paid? Because this is something that comes up at regular day jobs.
Yeah.
Like, in the first initial interview, it's distasteful and literally it's bad strategy to bring up pay in the first interview for a regular day job.
Right.
I'm a bill collector.
Yeah.
I'm a salesman. I'm a machine parts manufacturer. It's bad taste to bring up pay in the first interview, right? That's literally the last thing you want to bring up.
Yeah.
In fact, in regular day jobs, the longer you delay talking about pay, the more leverage you have as the interviewer.
Wow. I did not know that.
This is real.
Yeah.
This is 100% real. Because once they qualify you and they go, yeah, we want this guy. Now all the cards are on your side of the table.
Right.
So now you can start going, okay, well, let's discuss pay.
Yeah.
Right. And then they go, okay, well, we'll pay you $16 an hour. And you go, okay, what are the benefits? What's vacation time? You start qualifying them. Why should I come work for you?
Right.
This is not the same. This is not how the music industry works.
Right.
However, the first part is true. If the first question out of your mouth, which honestly in my situation nowadays where I'm at, motherfuckers call me and offer me gigs literally almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first questions out of my mouth is, what's the pay?
Yeah.
Because I'm actually trying to weed out shit.
Yeah. No,
where I'm at in my career, I'm not uber successful, but where I'm at in my career, I'm trying to weed out the bullshit.
Right.
So I actually literally ask about pay right away to just get rid of people. Where did that come up in your conversation where you're like, fuck, man, Soul Asylum, I got the opportunity. When do you have the balls to go, when am I getting paid? How much am I getting paid? How does this financial thing work on this side of the fence?
So, this was the process. It was that initial phone call. And then it was like, can you learn, here's a set. It's 25 songs or whatever. Can you show up and rehearse this? And
what do they do? Do they give you all 25 songs?
Yeah.
And they expect you to show up knowing all 25 songs?
That's what I did.
Okay.
And so
just so everybody understands, just at this level, this is what this is why I'm super excited to have you on specifically and talk about this, is because of this transition from these two worlds. So this is the expectation. Here's 25 songs.
It is. Here's the thing is I thought about it before, and I thought about a couple things. I thought these guys have been playing for these songs over and over and over and over. And they're not sitting here thinking about me, going oh, well, we should let him ease into this. They want to just start to play and feel as good or better than they felt before, And so I went into it treating the first rehearsal or the first, just whatever you want to call it, audition, as a show. So I'm going to just So when I went in there, you know, Michael said, well, what can you do? And I said, let's play the show. You know, so we just
play the set.
Let's play the set. We played
From the
set
top.
from
Let's
the top.
go from the top. That's how I did it too. That's how I did it too. When I got my jobs, when I was a jobber, that's how I did it too, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly how let's
it's
go
the
from
way
the
to
top,
do it.
dude. You sent me a list. Let's go from the top.
Let's go and play the show.
Yep,
and we
let's
did
do
it. And then they were like, "Can you come back tomorrow?"
It makes me
and I
so
said,
excited
yes.
I'm so excited having this conversation with you because it validates how I like approach this deal.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah, you're right. It's how you do it, you know. And it was like, so the way I remember it, you know, was we did 2 rehearsals and show up the next day, and then it was that they were going to Dallas and Philadelphia, then Dallas, and they said, "Can you go to this weekend? Can you go to these places?" And I said, "Okay, yeah, I can do it." And the first show was in Philadelphia, and it was for this big radio convention, and there were a lot of big names. Like I remember Band of Horses were right before us, and there was like Steve Earle playing, and it was like, you know, big thing, record labels there, radio people there. And as we were driving there, and granted, like I've only played with them, like rehearsed like twice, and it was that week. You know,
yep.
And I was a little, you know, so I'm a little nervous, and
the listeners don't see that I'm completely nodding.
Okay.
Like the listeners, the viewers might see it when the cameras change.
Yeah.
The listeners do not understand that I'm like nodding excitedly in approval on everything you're saying for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yes, keep going, yes.
Well, it's nerve-wracking, right? Because you got, and I had to start the show with a doo-doo-doo-doo, like somebody to shove that little guitar lick, the doo-doo-doo, you know, and I'm like starting it, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm a little nervous. I got to start the show, and, you know, this is all so new. And on the way there, we were in I don't remember how we were getting there, whatever vehicle we were in, they were listening to the radio, and I was like hearing something, and it was someone we all knew. I forget who it was, but it sounded great. And then at the end of it, I hear clapping. And I'm like, oh, it's live. And then they're like, yeah, we're here at the whatever the show is, live on the radio. Da, da. I'm like, oh, great. So not only is this my first show ever, but it's also live on the radio.
Fuck.
And I realized that the manager is probably, you know, who lived in New York at the time, because we switched management at some point in the last 5 years.
Which I think a lot of people don't understand why that's freaking us out.
Well, yeah, it's like
okay, dude. So I get it. Like everything is what it is.
Yeah,
all the situations are equal.
Yeah,
like with all things being equal, cool. But now it's live on the radio, so any fuck up I have is permanent, forever on record,
forever. And forever, and I know I realized, okay, so the management, everybody's like listening, and then the record company that sold some switched labels, but at the time, the label was there, and I'm like, so the record label's here. It's on the radio. We're playing with, like, you know, we're in the dressing room with Steve Earle and, you know, Band of Horses, and I'm like, this is like high pressure for a first gig. There's no like kind of easy test run, you know, like playing in a in a dive bar in, you know, a Midwest town or something. You know, it's like kind of starting with, you know, to me, something that seemed very stressful, and it went great. And then the next day we went to Dallas, and we were playing with the Toadies, and it was a really big, you know, like outdoor, awesome show. And that went great. And then they said, you want to play the next tour? And then, you know, it was like, you're in the band. And the way the money, so get to your question. So the manager at the time, John DeHaze, really great dude from New York, he just called me and, you know, said, you know, we just sorted it out. And I was easygoing with it because I knew it was an opportunity that I had to do.
Right.
You know, and
you
I also knew
you don't want to go big dick on campus with the bit.
And I knew they were good people, you know, and I knew that they know it's in the best interest of everybody to make it sustainable. Like if I can't do it, then they don't have a guitar player. Right. I mean, so it's and everybody has to be happy. Everybody has to enjoy what they're doing. And it's worked out really, really great. And, you know, but ultimately it was kind of like a trust in them, and likewise, I think it was a two-way thing where you go like, all right, we're both putting in some degree of faith into this, like that this is gonna work, and you know, so having said that, because that may not be how it always is, because like normally,
no, it's not. It's definitely not how it always is.
Definitely not how it normally is. So if somebody
but
called
that's
me
why
and
I wanted to ask you these questions, because almost none of these experiences are how it is.
Right.
Like I just haven't been able to have a lot of these conversations with a lot of people who've been where I've been.
Yeah.
Let alone above where I've been, right? I mean, I have a lot of these conversations because of what I just said.
Right.
But on the podcast, we're not able to document. And it's just so crucial, because what I'm really trying to do is help this town and this scene on the bottom level realize how short of a climb. It's really not that big of a climb. It's a huge incline.
Yeah.
It's a huge fucking... It is not a slow, meandering... You end up at a plateau someday. It is a fucking... If you really want to do this deal, it is in this town, it is a fucking direct alpine climb.
Yeah.
Like, go watch mountain climbing documentaries to understand what I'm talking about. That's what it's like being in Minneapolis. This is Prince's town.
Mm-hmm.
And even before Prince, there was Bob Dylan. So there was always, in this town, there is an arrogant, and I don't think there's any other word but arrogant. There's an arrogant level of expectation in this town. And if you don't meet it, you ain't it.
Yeah.
Period. Fuck off. Come back when you get there. That's how this town really works. But honestly, brother, on the lower tier, there are so many young musicians that ego and minor successes get exaggerated into value and worth. And it's like, no, dude, you're not there. You're not on that level. Like, there's tiers to this thing. And to get there is one thing. Like, but to claim you're there, that's another thing. Like, that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, you should never claim you're there.
Yeah.
You should be told you're there by others at that level. Like, when others start calling you a peer.
Yeah.
Like, when when other people start going, no, dude, you're dope. Like, you're good. That's when you're at that level.
Right.
You don't self-declare you're at said level.
Yeah.
This is what we've lost in this town.
Right.
Is there needs to be more of guys like you in Soul Asylum, American Head Charge, Trampled by Turtles, After the Burial, that literally night bands.
Yeah.
We need a literal ascension. Like, we need business structure. We need that almost, and I hate to say this, we need almost that gatekeeper type deal back.
Right.
Because there's too much chaos in the Wild West where guys get disillusioned because they draw 60 people to a metal show. It's like, dude, you're not big.
Yeah.
You're not big.
Yeah.
Like, you ain't shit. You ain't shit.
Yeah.
You're not even shit in this town.
Yeah.
And I get super fired up about this, dude. But this is a real thing. Like guys want to book shows. I hit people up. I try to talk about things, dude. And guys are like, oh, yeah, we draw 60 people to a show. And I'm like, that's a joke, bro. Like, this is hilarious. Like, you're an opening band.
Yeah.
Like, we gotta, like, come on, man. We gotta start, like, building this thing back up.
Yeah.
Where venues make money because we're there.
Yeah.
Headlining bands are there because they draw.
Right.
Opening bands are there because they have potential.
Yeah, yeah.
Not the other way around, man.
Right.
Not the other way around. That's what fires me up, dude, is this disillusionment of what is actually happening in the world right now.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think part of it is, like, musicians have to focus on, like, what do you offer? What do you bring to the table? And focus on making music that you love, because that will resonate. Because, like, whether you drop, like you said, okay, 60 people,
that's a joke.
I mean, in a way, okay, so you can,
sad.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, ultimately you have to live with the music.
And I'm not trying to sound arrogant. If you guys draw 60 people and it's an accomplishment, I get it, bro. Like, I get it. You're doing shit. You're doing shit that a million people haven't even done. There's a million people that can't even draw 60 people to a show. I get it, bro. Mad props to you. Mad props to you. There is zero shit talking happening right now to you. But is what I'm saying is don't fucking sit here and tell me that you're on the same level as a band who sold 1 million records or even 100,000 records.
Right.
Like, just that's the problem, is there's bands, and I was that kid. That's what I'm really getting at, is that 16, 17, 18-year-old.
Well, yeah.
I was that kid.
But everybody
I
says
literally
16
was.
17.
I literally said,
yeah.
I literally said my band could blow Tool out of the water.
Yeah.
If we opened for Tool, Tool couldn't hold a candle to us. I said that at 17 years old.
Yeah.
Like, I actually said that to somebody out
It's
loud.
being young and it's, it's like lack of experience and information, because you probably hadn't seen Tool, I mean, who knows? It's like, yeah, Tool are a ridiculously good band. And
world class. World class.
And yes, it would be hard to blow Tool off the stage. I mean, but yet when we were all 16, 17, we probably I think a lot of people can relate to that. Do you know the Dunning-Kruger effect? Are you familiar with this?
Okay. So let's explain this to people real quick. So you download a small amount of information and it empowers you to think you're an expert on something you actually know very little about, which is basically every single person on Facebook about any topic.
Oh, yeah. It's super common these days, and maybe always, but with social media, it's extra common. So yeah, you start with a high level of confidence, right? And you think you know everything with very little information. And then you go down. The more experiences and things that you learn, you start to lose confidence. You go lower until you reach what they call the pit of despair. And that's where you realize, wow, I don't know what I thought I knew. This is way more complicated, way harder. Your confidence shattered by failure and humiliation, right? And then once you hit the pit of despair, you start to creep back up until you start to, little by little, with good experiences, where you're now actually learning more information. You're better informed. You're working your way up to true expertise, but that takes hitting rock bottom, working your way up little by little,
or realizing how deep the bottom is.
Yes, right.
That's what it really is for me.
Yeah.
Is realizing, oh no, you're not at the bottom or the top. You're like a baby little fish just swimming around. You ain't a shark, you ain't a whale, you ain't at the bottom of the ocean. You ain't going from the bottom to the top and in between with impunity like a whale. You're a fucking goldfish. You swim in the shadows. The shallows. Sorry, I said shadows.
Well, actually, that would work too. Shallows, shallow water, right?
Right.
And there might be a shadow of a bigger fish.
Right, but you think, because you're swimming around in the coral, Finding Nemo, you think you're the man.
Yeah, right.
I'm fucking, you don't even know that there's a drop-off. You're in 8 feet of water. You don't even realize there's a drop-off that goes a mile deep. And there's guys I know that are in that shallow area that think they're the shit.
Yeah, right.
Maybe they even go a little bit towards the drop off and they go, oh yeah, it's deeper over there. I swim with the big fishes because I'm on the edge. Nah, bro, you don't swim with any of the big fishes. These motherfuckers will eat you for dinner. And this is true in the music industry. There is guys way back in the day, if we use a comedy analogy, Ron White. Ron White had been a successful road comedian for 15, 20 years before Blue Collar came out. Before he got famous, he already had an hour of comedy that he could recycle. He had 6 hours.
Yeah.
And he could just do whatever he wanted. And when Blue Collar came out, they asked him to do 15, 20 minutes. That's what it's like to be a real musician. Yeah. A real musician has been on the road for so fucking long, we could build an album, we could build a headlining set, but all we're ever being asked to do is do 20 minutes.
Yeah.
20 minutes. So your job is to do the best 20 minutes that has ever existed.
Yeah.
With your band, period, end of story, start, finish strong. It's all killer, no filler at that point, right?
Yeah.
So you start off you get this call. Obviously, you don't want to go into too many details. I can feel you. I can feel you skirting around it. So you guys work it out. You work it out. You get the call. You can trust those guys.
Yeah.
It happened for you on the background because you knew that the people you were working with were reputable.
Yeah.
So let's rewind a little bit and go to how you even got to that point. So the Melismatics is doing a thing. I want to play a song from the Melismatics. I think that's the second song we have, or is that the third song?
Actually, you know what?
I think
you have
is
Start
Ryan and
Making
Pony.
Sense is the second one, yeah, which is an offshoot of the Melismatics.
So let's do the
basically.
Melismatics first, which is
Okay.
the third one, right?
Yep.
Okay, so let's play a song from the Melismatics.
Okay.
And then that can kind of set the stage as to how
Yeah.
you kind of got to this point, right? We'll play this song. We're going to go to the bathroom. Throw your question. In fact, let me do this real quick. Fucking on-screen chat. Yep, that's on. Throw your questions in now. We'll start working them in. We're going to play a song. Here's the Melismatics. Right?
Yeah.
I think this is
Well,
right.
it'll be something.
It should
right?
start playing any second. This is the problem with our system. It takes forever. There we go. I think it's kicking in. Is that right? We don't know. It's a black screen.
We don't know.
We don't know. We don't know. Yeah, that's the Melismatics. All right, we'll be right back.
Suffocation, oxygen, DOA, born again. Anesthetics numb the pain, new beginning, start again. Pick myself up off the floor and find the strength I had before. I am digging deep. Television, tunnel vision, execution, exhibition, narcissism, indecision, desperation, lack of vision. Take the pleasure with the pain. Find the strength to rise again. We are digging deep. Always hanging out in the twilight sleep. Never giving up, forever digging deep. Poison air, breathe it in, let it bleed, heal the skin. Desecration, revelation, medication kicking in. What we're feeling will transcend the situations we're in. We are digging deep. Gentle leader, violent bleeder, expectations, limitations, killing time until I die. I saw the future in your eyes. I know why you won't sleep tonight. I've seen you in a different light. You are digging deep. Always hanging on in the twilight
I don't know what I did with
All
my
right.
whiskey glass, dude. Where's my... What the fuck did I do with my whiskey glass? How did I lose my whiskey glass? This makes no sense. This makes absolutely no sense.
Is this? Oh, question, Jennifer. You know what? I wonder if we've had more questions here.
No, we have not.
Okay.
Thank God for Jennifer Kramer saving the
Jennifer,
day.
thank you.
Thank you for saving
Oh my
this.
God.
I honestly, we can't stand each other. Ryan really has told me how much he goes. We can't end this podcast fast enough because you're a terrible person to be around. And I said, you know what? I agree. You're a horrible guest.
Yeah.
And we don't want to do this with each other anymore. So we're obviously
This question
I'm
will
completely
save-
making this up. We're having a great time. Thank you, Jennifer Kramer, though. Great question. Do you think there are other cities in U.S. that are as good as better for musicians than Minneapolis? I have a very distinct and specific answer, but I want you to go first.
Okay. Well, I will start first.
There's only one. There's only one in my mind.
Okay. I'll say this. Like, I mean, I've definitely toured a proverbial buttload, and I always
Found my glass.
I always I'll when you're
Cue me
answering,
up. Cue me up.
Okay. I always find myself appreciating the Minneapolis, well, just in general Minnesota, including St. Paul, including surrounding areas like
Twin Cities.
The Twin Cities
The
has
greater Twin Cities. Sure.
an amazing music scene. I mean, so I appreciate other ones. Like, I always connected a lot with, especially with so Melismatics, when we toured, they were van tours, right? So we're like with the people, getting to know people better. It's more direct. So with that band, cities like Milwaukee, Chicago, Cincinnati. I actually love playing LA. Like, the scene there is weird because it's like a bunch of people that want to succeed in music, and everybody's in like everybody's band, and nobody's really taking anybody's band too seriously. That's kind of the vibe I get there, but it's I love LA. Like, I mean, I know it's not a cool thing to say, but I always loved going there. New York has got a great scene, but it's just not big. It's like, yeah, LA's big. And I love New York as a city, and I love the music that comes out of New York, but as far as a scene goes, it's and Brooklyn has a scene for sure. It seems like it's really hard to connect as a music scene in New York City. There's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of great venues. It's amazing. Tons of people, tons of musicians. But I think Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Twin Cities has the most amount of concentrated like opportunity and talented people, and decent people, and a music industry. We always had some label presence. Like, we used to have Twin Tone Records, and we have now, there's like Rhyme Sayers, and there's Stop House. I mean, that's all hip hop stuff, but there is a fair amount of healthy like record labels, people in the industry here. We got music publishers here. So I am all about, it's why when I revived my high school record label, High Tension Records, you can see in the flag I put the state of Minnesota there because I am a proud Minnesotan, and I think our scene is awesome. Even if you live elsewhere, I think that it has had an influence, and I think that there's like a camaraderie with Minnesota and other cities and other states.
Yeah, I agree.
So I mean, I'm biased, but
I think Nashville.
Nashville.
I think that's the better. I think that's the number one music town in America, and it's not close.
Right.
I think Minneapolis is number 2.
Yeah.
The Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Distant 2. Yeah.
It's a distant 2, though. But the reason I think it's such a distant 2 is because not a talent issue; it's an organizational.
Right.
Like Nashville is a very concentrated town.
Mm-hmm.
It's very focused. Like, I remember coming through Nashville on tour only once, and I remember I got the vibe when I rolled up, both before and after the gig. And we fucking crushed, by the way. I still can't say who I was playing with. Still technically on an NDA because that record label still technically exists. But I remember rolling up before, during, and after the gig. And I remember feeling like the bartender is a better drummer than everyone here tonight.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. The waitress is a better singer than the lead singer of the headlining band tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's that town.
That is.
Like everyone in that town is in elite level music. Everyone in that town. Minneapolis doesn't have that ability to organize and centralize.
Right.
We have such a weird community in this town where we're an arts community.
Mm-hmm.
We're a liberal community. We're an expressive community. But there is zero capitalistic organizational attack mentality in this town. This is completely a town of we generate talent and we export it across the country. And for me, I find that personally offensive. That's why I think too many people in this town, to go back to where we started this podcast, too many people in this town feel like it's a bad word to say, I want to make money.
Right.
Like you just basically cussed. You just said, God damn it, in a Christian church. Like to say you want to make money in this town is blasphemy.
Yeah.
It means you're not an artist. But you go to Nashville and these motherfuckers are literally working horrible day jobs or night jobs just to have a chance to be in the industry.
Yeah.
It's a different town. It's a different vibe. LA has a bigger population. You know, you know that there's more people in LA than the entire country of Canada.
Wow.
Did you know that?
I didn't know that, but wow. That's
like in the entire population of California versus Canada, it's not even close.
Yeah.
But there's more people in the greater LA area. There's like 38 million people in the greater LA area. There's only like 33 million in all of Canada. In all of Canada.
Wow. That's crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So the reason LA has a music scene is sheer volume of people. Mm-hmm. And I agree that New York has a better club scene. Like they have better venues and all of that. But it's a very similar thing. Like I don't think per capita there's any better town in America for musicians or creative people in general. Because, I mean, you think about actors, writers, directors, everybody comes from Minneapolis.
Right.
Like, it's really kind of, I sound like Trump. Everybody comes from Minneapolis. It's amazing. It's the best town in the country. Everybody comes from Minneapolis.
Beautiful.
It's huge.
It's beautiful.
It's huge. It's huge. We're huge. But at the same time, like, the reason this matters, the reason there's significance into what we're talking about is Chicago is way bigger than us.
Right.
And they ain't shit. Chicago sucks. Well, Chicago's music scene is terrible. And what I mean by terrible is it's not homegrown organic. There's no mushroom action happening. There's nothing coming from the bottom up, stemming up and mushrooming out to create a bigger deal than what they initially are. That's what Bob Dylan did. That's what Trampled by Turtles did. Both bands from Duluth. That's what American Head Charge did. That's what Soul Asylum did. That's what Prince did. There's so many After the Burial. Yeah. There's so many bands that come from the Twin Cities here because After the Burial is technically from White Bear Lake.
Who is?
Right? After the Burial.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The biggest legit metal band that's ever come from Minneapolis. They are on Prince's level.
Yeah.
Like they're
I'll have to listen to them more.
Like we've talked about this quite a bit even before the podcast. We had this conversation like, dude, After the Burial's on that level.
Wow.
Like Trent and Justin, rest in peace, Justin, before he died. I'm telling you, dude, like those guys are on like exterior levels.
Wow.
Like everything else is interior and we're trying to like become the best of the interior. And then there's Prince, Bob Dylan, and After the Burial. Like it's those three. That's
I'm
it.
gonna look more into them. I'm just not as.
I mean, dude, after the
I
burial,
know the name, but
after the burial is so heavy, they'll never have the numbers that even Soul Asylum has. Your band after the burial will never come near your numbers. But as far as like skill, as far as influence, as far as worldwide eternal cred, like fuck time. Like this ain't about a fucking 5-year span.
Yeah.
This is about like 20 years later, motherfuckers in Germany will be talking about after the burial.
Wow.
That's that. Like they're on that level, dude. That's why I was telling you about that podcast before, where dude was like, we're on that level. I was like, no, you're not. You're not on that level, and you need to stop right fucking now. Because like it's disrespectful what you're saying. That'd be like somebody right now on the indie rock scene who draws 67 people on average to a show being like, we're on the same level as Soul Asylum. Like, no, you're fucking not. Like, no, you're not. Like, there's so many tiers to this thing to even get to that level. That equity is just, it's, I don't know, man. I feel like the young generation doesn't have any fucking respect, dude. And that's what I'm really getting at. And that's a big theme of my podcast is like the young generation, they take a lot of shortcuts and they think they're there. It's like, no, you're not.
Well, and the world's changed so much too. Like since, I mean, I think that for young artists now,
Jennifer, I hope we answered your question.
Yeah, Jennifer. Yeah, so Nashville.
I think Nashville's the best music town in America, but Minneapolis is number 2, and I don't think it's close. I think it's Nashville, Minneapolis, and then everyone else.
Sure.
And the only reason another town has any credibility is sheer numbers. Like, it's the amount of people in that town. Because per capita, Nashville is the best, Minneapolis is number 2, and everyone else is competing for number 3.
Do you know the story? This is going to go right in line with what you were saying about playing in a club there and knowing that the waitress can sing better than the lead singer, etc. Slim Dunlap from the Replacements moved to Nashville with some people.
And let me guess, couldn't get a job.
Well, so
I know so many people that went to Nashville and never played music again on stage. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, he said...
Sorry.
So he and his buddies were
so bad right now.
Were frustrated with the scene there. They were like, this is so competitive. Everybody here's so good. They were like, we maybe should go home. So he said there was a bum sitting on the side of the street. He said, if that bum can play better guitar, Jennifer gave us the thumbs up. She said, all right. So we answered it. All right.
Thank you, Jennifer.
This bum. All right. If the bum can play better guitar than we can, we are going home. So they walked over to the guy and handed him a guitar and said, can you play guitar? He picks up the guitar.
If you would have asked me in advance, I would have not been down with this because I would have been like, he's definitely better than us.
Yeah. So they were like, well, we're going home. That was the best reaction. I hope your equipment's all right, though.
Oh fuck, dude. Oh my god.
Out of control.
We're not out of control. We're not even out of control.
Not out of control.
We're not even out of control. Look at my shirt. You can see it on my shirt. This is a great podcast. Ryan, this is a great podcast.
This is a blast. Thank you for having me. It's great. Yeah, so Nashville has so many super skilled musicians. But you know what though? Like, okay, Nashville, would like Babes in Toyland come out of Nashville? You know what I mean? It's a different thing. They just picked their instruments up really rapidly and were like, it was about the energy and the spirit of what they're doing. I don't know. Maybe that happens in Nashville too. But I would imagine in Nashville, because everybody is so awesome at their instruments, it's really next to impossible to be a band like that. I could be wrong.
No, I don't think you're wrong.
Okay.
I just needed a couple extra seconds to wipe
I was
everything down.
I was trying to cover for you there. I was like,
oh, they watched the whole thing. They watched me wipe everything down. I didn't switch cameras. There is no shame. There is no shame on this podcast. Is Peanut back?
Oh, he or she?
She. Peanut, the fat one? Is she fat?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's Peanut then. No, she's not sweet. She's a fucking bitch, and she just is manipulating you because you're petting her.
She's being sweet.
Oh, fuck. They watched that whole thing. They watched me spit that whole fucking drink out. They watched me drench all the equipment and then wipe it down while you answered. Oh, brilliant. All right, let's work in some new questions. While they're queuing up questions.
While Jennifer's thinking of her next question.
Right. What possessed you to take music seriously? Like, why would you decide at our age, when we're children, definitely a different world than it is now?
Yeah, totally different world.
But I don't think we're different as people. Like, this is one thing that I've really been thinking about pretty deeply is like, okay, the technology has changed. The mediums have changed dramatically.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dramatically.
Yeah.
But I don't think we as people, I don't think we've changed.
Right.
As musicians, as artists, as creators, I don't think we've changed.
Right.
So whether it's 1971 or it's 2001, I don't think it really matters.
Yeah.
What does change is the difference between the individual.
Yeah.
Why we pursue this as a serious thing. And I subscribe, I can't believe, and I say this all the time, I can't believe I'm going to admit this. You're right. If you've heard me admit this before, this isn't authentic. You're correct. But for the sake of the people who have never heard this podcast before, it is important that I say this. I can't believe, still to this day, as many times as I've said this, I cannot believe I'm agreeing with Kid Rock in any way, shape, or form. But Kid Rock said it, and I think he said it in the most honest and authentic way possible, dude. The only reason people leave the basement to become professional musicians is one of three motivations. They either want fame, money, or pussy. For me, to make this easier to answer, it falls under fame. I didn't want to be famous, because what I wanted was peer recognition.
Yeah.
Like, my dream still to this day at almost 40 years old, where I'm at in this world, is if somehow, some way, I created a project or a band or joined a band. It was so fucking dope. We opened for Metallica. And James Hetfield or Lars Ulrich, either one, walked up to me and said, "You fucking rock." I'm pretty sure I would literally retire the next day. There's nothing I need more. Like, that's it. That falls under fame. Even though it has nothing to do with gaggles of fans.
Yeah.
Right? It's pure recognition.
Right.
But I still think that falls under fame. What about you, though? Why did you decide to go from being a high school musician to go, like, I want to do this for real? Because the reason you're doing music, the reason you write songs is because you love music.
Right.
But the reason you pursue it beyond that is why.
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I don't know if I could tell you a clear answer, but I know that I can remember a few tipping points where I knew that music was what I had to do, and I don't know why. But I know, like, so I played trombone, like that was the first instrument like I learned how to play.
Middle school?
Yep. And we were playing a song called Let's Go Band. It goes bum 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 bum, and there's a it's just like a simple rock beat, and I got a rush from that I could not explain. I was like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't even play my trombone because I was smiling. I'm like, and I was looking around like at the other people, like, why aren't you freaking out? We're making this sound. This is incredible.
So it's like being part of something bigger than yourself.
Yeah. And everybody else is just like playing, whatever, like they couldn't have cared less. And I couldn't believe it was like life changing, and then I knew at that point for whatever reason, I don't know which one of the three things it is, but I knew I had to do it. And I knew that I couldn't have a plan B and I couldn't do anything else. So that was a moment I can pinpoint as like when I knew that's what I had to do. And it's a feeling and it's a thing that was like unstoppable. Like, that's what I'm going to do, you know?
So that's what drove you to start it.
Yeah. And make big decisions that allowed me to only do that. Like, not learn how to do anything else, you know?
So for you, it was definitely part of, because I feel like this is definitely valid in that starting point, right? Like why we do it to begin with.
Yeah.
It's like, because we love music, or for me, it's a big part of it. There's a reason. There's a reason I love team sports, and there's a reason I've never created the Jared Singer Project. It's because I don't want to just do an individual thing. I want to be a part of a team. I want to be a part of something that's bigger than myself.
Yeah.
Because what I want to accomplish can't be accomplished by one person.
Right.
Like, I could write all the music, but it's not as good as if you joined, and if that guy joined, and if that guy joined, and if that guy joined.
Yeah.
This is way better now.
Right.
Because now it's a team. Like a football team or a baseball team, or like, because that's the world I grew up in, right? Is like a team environment. And whether you're captain or you're the fucking reserve, you're still part of that team. And everybody has a valuable role to play.
Right.
Granted, yeah, I kind of want to be the man. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of want to be the man. Like, I'm the guy. I'm the guy. You know, I was starting pitcher. I was starting quarterback. I was starting running back. I was always the guy. I'm the guy. Whether you like it or love it, whatever. I'm the guy. But why I pursued it falls under fame.
Yeah.
Because I wanted that peer recognition of people that I thought were dope. I wanted them to tell me I was also dope. And like I said, if James Hetfield walked up to me in one day and went, dude, you fucking rock. I love your band. I'd be like, all right, we're good. We've accomplished all of the things now. We can just end and I'll die happy.
Yeah.
What is that motivation for you? Why did you decide? Because it's either money, fame, or pussy, right? So mine falls under fame. What was it for you? Is it the money? Is it literally just, I want to make money doing this so I can have a healthy family and do my deal? Is it you want to get the fame and the recognition from people? Was it also kind of like me in middle school, insecure, skinny, good at sports, but not the big kid? And it helped me get chicks. Like, it really helped me get chicks. I joke to this day. I went on another podcast. They asked me part of that question. And I basically said, I'm seriously still to this day, and this is a real answer.
Yeah.
I'm seriously still to this day surprised any woman lets me anywhere near their vagina. And I'm convinced the only reason I get near my wife's vagina is because I'm a musician. Like,
you could probably ask her. She might tell you.
But I'm willing to bet legitimate money if I didn't play any instrument. If I wasn't a musical creator, I would never have gotten any girl, let alone the pretty ones, let alone a wife. Right. Let alone a healthy human being to live my life with. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, honestly, my identity is as a musician. And these are the things that have stemmed from that. And the podcast and my ability to have conversations are nothing more than a manifestation of me being a musician, which again brings it back to those original core motivations, which for me was pussy and fame. I wanted to get laid and I wanted to be popular. I was a skinny, athletic kid who didn't have any respect. Just being honest, bro. I just wish most of us were as honest as I am.
Yeah.
So what was it for you?
I think
as honest as you could possibly be.
As honest as I can possibly be. I think I'm going to say that the mad rush of cathartic just feeling I got from playing music was the primary drive. I probably had a similar thing that you were talking about with where you could classify it under fame. I never did want it to actually be famous, but I do think that, I think that if everybody's honest, everybody wants to feel accepted and they want to feel okay, and most people don't, and it's like you look for that somehow. And if somebody says you're okay, or if in a song you can say I'm not okay, and other people go, you're okay, I totally relate to that. There's some communication there that is it's like an affirmation. So I think
you're not alone.
Yeah, it's like not feeling alone. It's so I think there's something to that. There's something to just the power music has had for me personally. Like, I can't explain it. It's like, I know people that say they hear music and they don't care. They're like, yeah, I can take or leave it.
That blows my mind.
It blows my mind too, because for me, it's like such a huge thing. But fortunately for people like us, there are other people that value music in the same way, or at least that much more or less, but at least it's like somewhere on the spectrum of like appreciating music and understanding it, and it moves you,
Mm-hmm.
So communication, connecting with other people, feeling okay, and then just like having to play it.
Yeah, and I think that there's also this weird thing that is also true, no matter how you answer that question, that it's kind of irrelevant whether you make music or listen to music.
Yeah.
Which is the idea of being part of something that's bigger than yourself. Yeah. It's very much the same as being a sports fan. Like, man, I'm telling you right now, if you can just like become a fan of a sports team and go to a game and experience them winning a game and the euphoria of being in a stadium full of however many thousand people, right? Basketball is drastically less than football, but still thousands of people. And man, or go to church is another thing, or go to a concert, right? To bring it back home. There's something really fucking like, it's kind of hard to explain. It's kind of hard to put into words what it's like to be a part of that. And then to do that and be in that field or in that audience and accept that energy, accept that expression from those artists, from those musicians, from those performers. That's one thing. And then to be on that stage and giving off that energy. But you don't feel that way, do you? You feel like you're accepting that energy from the crowd. You feel like you're just as much of a part of it as they are, even though that's your shit that you fucking wrote, bro. Like, it's still the same thing as if you're in the audience. The difference is you're up here.
Yeah.
It's kind of fucking mind-blowing.
It is.
I think the only people that could possibly understand what we're talking about are stand-up comedians.
There is a remarkable similarity between what stand-up comedians and musicians do. You're right. I mean, it's like not only the experience of what your relationship with the audience is, but it's like the way that you there's like a level of improvisation, reading a crowd, and responding to what you're getting from them. It's very similar.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those deals where it's like a makeout session. Like one partner can be overly aggressive and the vibe is off. Right? Like if you have an over aggressive band, right? And the crowd is just not feeling it. They're there for a chill environment. The vibe's off.
Right.
But if you do your job right, you bring the crowd up to your level.
Right.
No. You're here to see us, motherfuckers. You don't know it yet, but you're here to see us. Or vice versa. Maybe the crowd's there to see some fucking deep tongue action. and you're just a you're just a lip nibbler. Sexy, cute. Right? Right? I feel like I'm either doing a great job of podcasting or I'm completely losing you.
You're doing great. I'll say you're doing great. If I'm qualified to put my rating in.
All right. Well, before we lose everyone, let's play another.
All right.
Someday it'll play. Eventually it will play. We tested this before the podcast.
We did.
Oh, wait. Hold on. There we go. Now it'll play. Eventually it'll play. I promise. Someday. Someday this track will play. Hold on. Let's turn it off. Because we're doing the second one, right?
Yes. Second one.
Yeah, so let's turn that on. We're on main. This should work. I see it. It triggered it. Hello. Someday.
Now the time is stopped there. That.
Oh no, that's when
different.
that comment was
Yeah,
made.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a shit show. I mean, that's what happens when we get drunk, when we do these things. There we go.
There was a time we had to break things down. Life seems so logical, spun ourselves around to see if we could come unwound. But now it seems that we have gone too far. Time to step back and take a look at who we are. Are we living on a dying star? Start making sense and stop making sense. In my confidence that we can make amends. We study fiction and we study dreams until reality was tearing at the seams. And we're polarized to the extremes. Hear what you wanna hear and feel when you can't see clear. Hear what you wanna hear and feel when you can't see clear. But someday we will face the facts. And truth will make a comeback. And stop making sense. In my confidence, don't make the future tense. You don't feel it, can't feel it if you feel it, alright. Don't feel it if you feel it, then you're feeling alright. Don't feel it, can't feel it if you feel it, alright. Don't feel it if you feel it, then you're feeling alright. Don't feel it, can't feel it if you feel it, alright. Don't feel it if you feel it, then you're feeling alright. Don't feel it, can't feel it if you feel it, alright. Don't feel it if you feel it, then you're feeling alright. Don't feel it, can't feel it if you feel it, alright. Don't feel it if you feel it, then you're feeling alright. Start making sense and stop making sense. In my confidence that we can still make sense. Start making sense. Start making sense. Start making sense.
My fucking leg, Peanut. Stop it. My dog's all up on my leg. She's tickling my shit. Peanut, seriously, you gotta stop. Move any direction. Peanut, please. Any direction. Just please move. Thank you.
Peanut's a good dog.
She's rubbing up her ear against my ankle, though,
Yeah.
and it's tickling it. It's making me freak out.
Peanut,
She's
come
good.
here.
Come here. Get up.
Oh,
There we go. There's the pee-pee.
oh, what a
There's
cute-
the pee-pee. There's the captain of the ship. What do you think, Peanut? What do you think? She doesn't know what to think. She's looking at us like, what the fuck is going on? Why am I not rubbing you? She's asking me questions. Sorry, we're having an interview right now. Why am I not rubbing you? It's because I'm doing a show. I'm doing a show with somebody else who's not you. The world doesn't actually revolve around you, Peanut. I know you think it does because we give you so much love and attention all the time. But you're just a dog. Yeah, see how disappointed she's looking at you right now. She's looking at you like you're stealing her time.
Oh, I'm sorry, Peanut.
All right, so we cashed the one whiskey. What are we drinking now?
This is Bullet Bourbon.
All right, give me a cheers, my man. Ryan, I'm genuinely honored and flattered to have you on the podcast today. This has been an exceptional experience for me. I hope you've at least enjoyed yourself.
I've had a blast. Thank you. This is fun.
I appreciate you saying that, man. It's been a weird deal. We did something different today. Like, honestly, I think it was really fucking cool. We hung out and we jammed.
Yeah.
We actually just did a little jammy jam. I think that was really cool, man.
Yeah, it
Like,
was cool.
I'm really appreciative to do that with you, because I feel like it makes the podcast actually make more sense.
Right.
Like, because there's this weird unspoken credibility we now have
Yeah.
with each other that cannot be put into words.
Right. You're
It
right.
can't be put into words. It took 10 minutes
Yeah.
of instruments
Yeah.
that 3, 4, 5, 6 hours
Yeah.
of words cannot.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. That's what I was saying.
There's a
about
weird credibility we have with
Right.
each other now.
Right. There's like it's the power of music. Not to sound cheesy, but it is, right?
It really is.
It is.
It's the true universal
Yeah.
language beyond math.
Yeah. It's like when you see, like, you see somebody you played a gig with before and you made music and time has passed, you see him, it's like you give him a hug. You go like, dude, it's good to see you. You know what I mean? It's like going through, I'm not sure what. I don't know if I can compare it to anything, but it's an experience and like no other. So,
Well, it's this weird
yeah.
thing because it's like you need to be taught how to read math. You
Right.
need to be taught how to do math.
right.
So I understand that may be a universal language because math is math, right?
Yeah.
1 + 1 always equals 2. Period. End of story.
Always.
But no one needs to be taught how to listen to music.
Right.
No one needs to be taught. You just do it. But it's still a universal language.
Yeah.
So I think music is significantly more of a universal language than
Oh,
math.
it absolutely is. I mean, before people were using words, they think that, they were using musical sounds. I mean, it's science.
Science. All right. Well, listen, man.
Yeah.
Where can people check you? You got gigs coming up personally
Yeah.
and collectively. Where can people check this shit out?
Okay. Tomorrow, if you're watching this now, tomorrow is Friday, June 24th.
Correct.
And there's a show at the Amsterdam Hall in St. Paul that I'm very particularly psyched about. So here's the thing. So I'm kicking off the night doing my solo gig. I'm playing acoustic. I'm looping things, playing some songs from all the projects, kind of also working toward, it's actually the release of a cassette maxi single tomorrow. But then the next band is Loki's Folly. They're this young band of siblings. I don't know if you've heard of them yet, but the bass player is 11, drummer
What?
is 15, singer's 21,
So it's
singer
Hanson.
guitar player. What's that?
So it's Hanson.
No, it's
I'm not saying they sound like
Yes.
Hanson, but it's
Yeah.
Hanson.
So it's two sisters, one brother. They are phenomenal, and they are everything that embodies like the spirit of Minneapolis punk rock. With no one sounds like them. It's crazy. They're awesome, and I've been working with them for a long time. Which you'd say a long time. The bass player's 11. How could you be doing that? Well,
well, I've been
as
working
long
since
as,
I've been working with him since he's been 4.5.
yeah. So they have a record that we worked on together. That is, they're getting. I can't talk about it too much, but I'll say that a record label will be releasing it. I can say that. And they've toured with Shellac. Steve Albini, the guy that produced Nirvana.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him. He's a nobody. He's never done nothing. They've toured with him. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. This band's awesome. They're playing second. And then third, the band Radkey. Are you familiar with them yet? Another sibling band. They just toured with the Foo Fighters.
Is their dad named Brad?
No.
Are you sure? They're a local band and their last name's Radke. You
No.
sure their dad's not named Brad?
Yes. Do you know? Is there a local band with people with the last name Radke?
Brad Radke used to pitch for the Minnesota Twins.
Oh,
and
no. Oh, yeah. All right,
bought a shit ton of gear from Guitar Center while we were working there.
Oh, yeah. No,
So
not
there's a
unrelated.
very good chance his children are the band Radke.
It's not, because I've known these guys a long time as well. And Radke is from St. Joseph, Missouri.
Oh,
And
well, fuck him then.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
And they're totally
We're kidding.
awesome. You'll love them. They're a phenomenal band. Toured with Metallica and Foo Fighters, and they just got off the road with the Offspring. And yeah, I met them also when the
And this is all
drummer
this Friday.
Yes,
Tomorrow night.
It's a show people should go to, like, to see. If nothing else, go to see these other bands, because it's gonna be off the hook. And then
Well, let's do it, dude. Let's all go. Let's
All right,
all
let's
fucking
all go.
Let's all fucking go
I'm
to the
even
show.
gonna go.
Let's all. You're gonna
I'm
be
gonna
there?
go. I'm gonna.
What?
You've
What?
convinced me. All right. And then and then beyond that, the Soul Asylum's got a bunch of tour dates this summer. So, and if you go to soulasylum.com, there you go. Bada bing, bada bang. We got some acoustic shows and some full rock shows, and
it's Jared Singer certified not to suck. That's what I'll say. It's not going to suck. If you don't like it, that's on you.
Yeah.
If that's on you. But like, here's the thing: is these are all pro musicians, pro acts. It's not going to suck. Like, if you don't like it, that's on you. That's your own deal. You got to work that shit out, man. These guys don't suck.
It's your fault if you don't like it.
Yeah, exactly. That's your own personal taste. That's your problem. You need to work out with yourself. Like, maybe you don't understand what good musicianship is. Because honestly, like, that's my biggest thing is, they don't sound like what I want them to sound like. They suck. No, fuck you. Like, no, they're good. You're just not into that. That's my big thing. And I've said that for years, even myself. Like, they're doing this thing. I don't like it. And then the next phrase is, I also may not be ready for it. So 5 years from now, I might finally understand what they were doing. That's me as a musician and as a listener. This has happened dozens of times throughout my life.
That's a very wise, mature thing to say, because you're right. Sometimes you'll see, if I'm talking to like super young kids now where they're like, I don't understand this other band. Like, let's say whatever it might be, like, that's okay. You might in 5 years be like, that is the best band. I didn't understand it 5 years ago.
But what
There's
bothers
nothing wrong
me
with it.
is when people go, they suck.
Well, yeah.
That band sucks.
Yeah.
That band sucks. No, they don't.
They don't suck.
No, they don't suck.
Yeah.
No. You're not into it, or you don't get it.
Yeah.
It's one of the two. But like, that's a dope fucking group of musicians. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, nobody tomorrow night's going to suck.
No
Everybody tomorrow night on this bill is going to be fucking dope. And if you don't like it, cool. If you don't like it, cool. But they don't suck. You're just not into it, or you're not ready for it. So tomorrow night, what's the venue?
The Amsterdam Hall in St. Paul, Minnesota.
There you go. There you go.
Minnesota.
Tomorrow night, Amsterdam.
Yeah.
I might even be there. I might even come party. I might even show up. And if I show up,
then you all better show up.
Call me the Burt Kreischer of Minneapolis, because if I show up in that fucking room, I'm telling you, shit's going to get lit. Y'all don't even want to know. It's dangerous that we're drinking at fucking, what time is it? 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Yeah. Bro, are you lit? I'm kind of lit.
Yeah.
I'm a little fucked up. We're going to need a wind down in order to fucking get out of this fucking... Do you want to jam a little bit before we get
all right,
here?
we'll jam.
Let's wrap this up.
All right.
You and I we'll jump back on the instruments.
Yep.
You're going to do some guitar. Unfortunately, you guys don't get to see this because you're not part of the Patreon. If you were part of the Patreon, if you joined my Patreon, you might get to see this. This is what we do. This is what we do now.
Do you have a Patreon, or is that?
Yeah, I do have a Patreon. Yeah.
Wow. Well, you're going to miss out.
There's exactly 3 or 4 people in it.
Okay.
That's how small it is. That's how hilariously pathetic my Patreon is. But we still have one. And that's what we do. We do extra content in the Patreon. So we're going to do a little jamming, and then we'll get some fresh air. After that, we'll fucking hang out, dude, and we'll get you out of here healthy.
All right, sounds good.
It's going to be a great time, man. Love you guys. We don't see enough questions popping in, so we're going to fucking wrap this up. We'll go back to the fucking this deal, and then we're going to say this. Like, subscribe, share. Everything's word of mouth because we've been shadow banned by YouTube because we smoke, we drink, we fucking swear on this podcast, and there's nothing fucking family friendly about this bitch. So literally the only way this thing works is if you guys actually share this. So you literally have to like go, hey, this podcast was cool, check this out, and share it. Like literally grab it and throw it on your socials. You got anything else you want to plug? Links are all in the descriptions. Tour dates, Melismatics,
Yeah.
Soul Asylum. Anything else you want to plug? Tomorrow night, Amsterdam.
Yeah. And Facebook, it's Ryan Smith, solo artist. There will be links to the new releases on there too.
We didn't even get to talk about Patrick.
That's right. Oh, Patrick, yeah.
Fuck it. Let's talk about Patrick real quick. So that's why you were. Yeah. That's why you got booked on the podcast.
Yeah.
It's because my boy
Olsen.
Patrick from 93X hit you up, and he was like, "Hey man, you got to go on my boy's podcast.
Yep.
You got to check it out, bro."
So, well, cheers to Patrick. Thanks for hooking us up. That was awesome,
dude. I feel like I made a new buddy today.
Yeah, likewise.
Cheers, my man. I love you, dude.
Love you too.
Tomorrow night, Amsterdam. We'll see you there.